The following is a special presentation of iRacing on LSR TV, your home for sim racing.
Welcome to the New Smyrna Speedway here in New Smyrna, Florida. The Cars eSport Tour Championship Esports Association race tonight for us on LSR TV. We're going to have a doubleheader tonight with the late model stocks and super late models that are going to be at Charlotte here later on LSR TV. And up in the booth, myself, Austin Coop, next to
It's low.
the more unique tracks. This is one of my favorite tracks just because of turn 4 and how it will crest back into turn 1 and it'll push you basically back down the track. Trevin, this will be a fun racetrack to start us off tonight.
Yeah, exactly as you said. The banking in here is fantastic. It's going to be a great race coming off of turn 4 towards that checkered flag. I'm looking forward to that later on. But, just watching these guys battle side by side and making sure they're saving their tires so they have enough for the end of the race. It's going to be amazing to see how these guys just battle amongst each other and how they, again, save their tire. So, it's just going to be great.
And looking at the last couple drivers who have won, it's been Christian Peterson the last 2 times we've been here with the Cars Esports Tour. That was May 23rd and May 9th. So the spread out schedule has really started to favor Christian Peterson. Before that, it was Matt Cucker at Myrtle Beach and Martinsville Speedway all the way back in March. And then Jeff Ward, of course, won the first race. So only 3 winners in 5 races so far in this late model stock here, Gary. Are we going to see a Christian Peterson three-peat or 3 in a row, or are we going to see somebody new, or what do you think we're going to see here tonight with the drivers that we've got tonight?
With the way that Christian Pearson has been running lately, it's going to be quite strange or interesting at the least to figure out what Christian Pearson can do. If Christian Pearson can pull off a three-peat, then that'll definitely boost his confidence and his morale heading into the final few races that we have.
Yeah, he's 11 points behind Matt Cucker here, and so that would be a big boost to him. Matt Cucker obviously won 2 races earlier, as I just said, and that puts him up top of the pylon. And I do believe one of those races at the Lanier or one of the Myrtle Beach and Martinsville was able to just kind of propel him a little bit more forward in that race. But looking through the standings, we've got Matt Cucker, Christian Peterson, 11 points away from each other, and then Tommy Ryan is 28 points behind Matt Cucker, with Devin Morgan, Brandon Wilkinson running out your top 5. Then you got Reed Rundle. He's in the 6th position, and then you've got Jeff Ward, who won that very first race, James Milbachler, Joe Burchett, and Matthew Murphy. That rounds out the top 10 in all of these right now. But at this point in the series, you've got to think about these long term. But at the same time, we are over this, or just getting over this halfway point of the season, as we are getting gridded up just now. It looks like Randy Yoakum, he is going to get the pole tonight. He'll start front row, and then Jeremy Adams, he will start in the 2nd position on the outside. That's going to be the 9 and the 89, making up row number 1. Tommy Ryan, he'll start in the 3rd position in the number 6 machine. Reed Rundle, talked about him just a little bit ago. He'll start in the 4th position, and then Matt Cucker, he'll round out the top 5.
Joe Burchett will start 6th position, that number 26 machine. Michael Heald starting 7th. Matt Shanowski starting 8th. John Lyday starting 9th, and rounding at your top 10, Robbie Bunden.
Starting in 11th position is Sean Cross. To his outside will be Scott Austin, and the number 5 starting in 12th. Jeremy Watkins and Todd Novosad start 13th and 14th respectively. Rounding out the top 15 is Brendan Wilkinson, and then on the last row is going to be, well, actually to the outside Wilkinson will be John Olette, and then Christian Pearson, all on his own little row in position number 17.
And that's a look at your LSR TV starting grid. Very jumbled up here we are tonight with this starting grid. And so for some drivers, it's going to be really difficult to see, or it's going to be really fun to see, actually, if they can get to the front with this spread out of field for the different disciplines of these drivers. And Christian Pearson starting in the back, Randy Yoakum starting up front. I think this will be really fun to watch here, Trevin.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Christian Pearson, as you just pointed out, he's in the back. It's going to be exciting to see how he can work his way through the 17-car field. And Robbie Bunden was given an EOL penalty, so he'll be moving to the back of the pack. So it's going to be exciting to see how he will be able to come back all the way from, you know, what he was starting, which was position number 10. So that would just give him a 7-point penalty. So we'll have to see how this works out. But here they come, coming to the green flag.
We want to thank you for joining us here tonight on LSR TV for the first half of tonight's event. Randy Yoakum will give these guys the green flag. And he is off. Green flag in the air. We're racing here at New Smyrna Speedway. Jeremy Adams has a great start, and he's going to be able to get that lead almost immediately right into turn number 2, and he's going to have a 2-3 car length lead right in front of Randy Yoakum. Yoakum's going to try and hold off the number 43. There's action behind him. 43 goes high, 6 goes low, and they're 3 wide coming out of turn number 4. And they are keeping it 30 wide for just a moment. The 43, that will be Reed Rundle. He's able to snag the positions, and he's able to get around the 6 on the outside. And this has been great racing already on lap 1, but we have a caution to slow us down already. That's going to be, it looks like Brandon Wilkinson and Sean Cross. Looks like they got together here, Gary.
Yeah, Wilkinson and Cross made contact coming off turn number 2, and looks like Wilkinson tried to make a move up on the inside lane, tried to use the apron to his advantage, but unfortunately Cross was there and he was a little bit slow. So unfortunately he accidentally made some heavy contact with Sean Cross, and well, that's why we're under caution here for the first time tonight. Yeah,
it seemed that the car didn't go out of the corner like you thought it would. You saw the 22 and the 41 close together, and 22 just was going away, and 41 just looked like it was going still. I know the 56 just did not expect it to happen, but definitely ran into him and caused these guys to spin out. Good thing for both of them. It's not huge damage for either of them, but they're going to have to go to the back, so they did not start too far up, so it's not too much of a big deal, but a little bit of damage on the 56, a little bit of damage on the 41 is going to set these guys back a little bit, Trevin.
Yeah, and the number 56 of Brandon Wilkinson will be penalized for avoidable contact and will be given an EOL penalty. But I was going to make the point on Sean Cross. You know, he had a great points night last week, going up 9 positions. That was the biggest mover in the point standings from last week. So, you know, he's going to try to continue that momentum to bring himself further up into the top 10 before this regular season is over. So it gives him a chance, you know, to fight for the end of the race, the end of the season. But races like this obviously are not going to play in his favor. He's just got to bounce back and be able to continue to push himself to get up into a top contending position for the rest of this race. And it's still a long race. We're only 5 laps in, 120 to go. So these just drivers got to dial it in, log some laps, and make sure that they can keep themselves in for the rest of the race.
And talk about that restart here, guys. That was very intense, and I was not surprised that we saw 2 cars go around very early. But that was incredible to see. Two instances of 3 wide on the very first 2 laps. One on turn number 4, as we saw on screen, and then one on turn 2, right in front of that wreck, actually. So as these guys are getting ready to get doubled up, looks like the 89 is going to take the outside. Number 9 is going to slot down on the bottom. This is the way they started on the front row, but the 89 is going to be in control of this restart. 89 was able to get the positioning on the outside by getting a good start on the green flag. 89 is off and away. Green flag is going to be in the air, and the 9 car lays back just enough, but I don't know if he's going to be able to slide in side by side for second place. On back, the 33 is going to get into the 6, and he's going to run right into his door, and they stay steady 4 wide behind them, now 3 wide behind them. And the 33 is going to get the best of it going fourth to second, or the 6 gets the worst of it, I should say. He's going to keep dropping. They keep it steady in green here.
I don't know how they kept it going straight after all that. That was a very close and amazing save by Tommy Rod there, but unfortunately that sent him back just a little bit, and he's got, I believe, just a very small scuff mark on the left side of his car. So right now he's going to be trying to recover from that as soon as possible, and right now it looks like side by side for what looks to be position number 9. Christian Peterson in the 23 and Matt Shinuski in the 03. Shinuski trying to use that high side, but here at New Smyrna, it looks like the bottom lane is the preferred line.
23, Christian Peterson started 17th. He's able to get that position away from Shinuski. Just pretty close to being halfway through the field already on lap number 10, which isn't to be a surprise with the 2 drivers that had spun out earlier, but we do see this quite often with the 23, is we are also seeing a side-by-side battle with the 6 and the 33. Number 6 on the outside, and with these guys fighting side by side, this is going to bring the 22 and the 69 of John Lyday and Matt Cucker into the picture. The 33 slides up just a little bit, got tight, got out of the gas, and saved the number 6 from having any more damage. But the 6 overdrove the corner of number 3, and they're going to still be side by side here. I think the 6 could have cleared the 33 right there, but was just a little bit too aggressive on the throttle, and they're going to have to try again, and this is only going to be holding those guys up behind them. The 22 almost runs into the back of the 6, and he gets tied at the 2.
You saw how hard that number 6 machine of Tommy Ryan is really pushing his car. He got into the wall a little bit coming out of turn 2. You're really seeing all of this pressure on him, and Michael Heald is just doing a great job making sure he keeps that pressure on, and he's able to take that 4th position away from Tommy Ryan from all of that pressure. And obviously he's going to slip up if he just keeps on seeing him in his mirror or out the door. And, obviously he's going to try and set his sights on Reed Rundle, Randy Yoakum, and then soon to be Jeremy Adams. All these drivers are single file for the most part. They did a great job on that restart, really not messing their cars up more than they needed to, and kept it straight. And obviously 4 wide right there for a moment, but they all settled down right before the turn, so everybody made it through clear. And now we're just running single file a little bit right here. And, Christian Peterson, you might want to keep an eye on him. He started 17th, a reminder, and now he's all the way up to 9th, looking to take away that 8th position. And just as I say that, Matt Cucker also on the move, taking that position quickly away from John Lyday. That's going to be for P number 6. So we'll have to see how he works as well. Matt Cucker and Christian Peterson are 2 of the biggest names here in this series. And we'll have to see how these guys move out through the field tonight.
Top 5, Adams, Yoakum, Rundle, Held, and Ryan. That top 3 is looking pretty good in front of all these other drivers right now. Yoakum and Held, or Yoakum and Rundle, they are holding off the 33, and the 33 got tight out of 4 right there, right in front of Tommy Ryan, and that was the opposite problem, that was the same problem that 6 had earlier on. So those 2, if that continues for the 33, he might have another fight with the number 6, but like you said, Matt Cucker behind them is definitely looking to pounce on that. Another driver looking to pounce is the driver right behind them, number 22, Elide. That's Joe Burchett in the number 26. He looked to the inside of the 22, but now he's got Christian Peterson looking to his outside, and he shut the door on that one right before the corner entrance of 3. And so there you go, 1, 2, 3 here in the corner, and Christian Peterson's going to shove his car straight to the bottom. right under the number 26 of Burchett, and Burchett's going to have the power off. No dice for the 23, but he's going to keep it down on the bottom.
Yeah, Pearson getting to that 8th place position right now, just across the line. Well, actually, that time across the line, it was actually 26. And back into turn 1 is Peterson still trying to fight on that inside lane, trying to battle Joe Burchett. And there goes Burchett now. He's going to make the pass on John Lyday, so that means Christian Pearson now is going to get held up by both of these drivers, and I believe Lyday may have made just a little bit of contact with that walking at turn number 4. Nonetheless, a little bit of a slide up from Burchett, but he does keep it straight and almost making contact through turns 1 and 2 with the 22. Here comes Peterson now to the inside of the 22, and just right behind them, here comes Shinoski. Well, he tried to make it in time, I believe, but unfortunately that didn't work, so Burchett and Peterson, they made their way up to 7th and 8th.
And this has been the best action on track. 26 made an aggressive move on the 22. It worked out perfectly for him as he was able to get that position. Now he's got to worry about Peterson. He's also got to worry about trying to catch these guys. He is 3.5 seconds off the lead pace of Jeremy Adams, and he continues to fall off that pace just a little bit, except for that last time he gained a little bit. Christian Peterson is gaining on the lead as well. He is just about 3/10 behind Joe Burchett, so those two trying to find some speed here. And that move on the 26 was, I think you would call it aggressive, but he needed to make that pass here, Trevin, because Peterson was right there. If he didn't make that pass within the next couple corners, it might have been him that was passed first, and then he'd still have to pass number 22 of Lyday later on.
Yeah, and it's always so hard to make some passes on short track racing. Either it's Martinsville or New Smyrna. So you just got to make sure you take opportunities when they're handed to you, no matter what the circumstances are. Got to make sure that you're always in front of that car behind you. And obviously that was a great crossover move from Joe Burchett getting around John Lyday. But now John Lyday, under pressure, gets a little tap from Matt Shinowski and letting him know he's there, and he gets bumped into the wall a little bit, I believe. And now we're to see how number 03 is going to set number 22 of Lyday up into the corner. Still a little bit behind, but they really caught him in turn number 3, so we'll see how John Lyday's car is going to be handling throughout the rest of this race. Obviously he's losing a little bit of time on the 2 cars in front of him. That's Burchett and Christian Peterson, so obviously he's losing that time, and then Shinowski and John Alette are caught up to him, so we'll have to see this battle going on throughout the rest of this race.
And the number 6, number 33, had a really close moment coming out of turn number 2. Tommy Ryan had shoved the car to the inside and almost slid right up into the 33. That's held. And the 69 of Cucker is loving this because that means he's going to have an easier time of passing these guys if they continue to fight like that. And the 6 almost lost it out of 4 right there. Grabbed the apron for just a moment and almost slid that car around. Had to get out of the gas, and he was really low coming on the exit of 4, and so he actually did not lose that much time, but it did look like he was going to have an issue there, and they are catching the driver in front of him, Reed Rundle. He is falling off just a little bit off those front 2 drivers' pace. Randy Oakham having himself a great night so far in the 2nd position, and Reed Rundle is just falling off just a little bit off that pace and just in 3rd place, and a lot of hungry drivers behind him, those couple drivers, and then Matt Cucker, of course, and then you have Christian Peterson and the number 26 of Joe Burchett still nose to tail. Oh, there goes Christian Peterson to the inside. He's going to show up the nose there. Very determined to get this position right here and right now. Made a quick move and slides right in front of the 26. Just barely had enough room to do it. That was an amazing pass.
Yeah, that was a great pass by number 23 Peterson, and looking, wow, I think I actually made contact coming off turn number 4 at the outside wall. Not so sure about that, but I'm quite surprised that Burchett didn't really use the bumper, but then again, I wouldn't be surprised. But speaking of using the bumper, that's what Tommy Ryan just did a little bit to Michael Held entering turn 3. Not a lot to loosen up the 33 of Held, but just enough to let Michael know for Ryan that Ryan is saying, hey, I'm right behind you, so either I'm going to dive into the inside or just going to use the bumper, but we're going to find out. There he goes to the inside. Speaking of which, what do you know? So for the top 4 position comes Tommy Ryan to the inside. Reed Rundell just out ahead in 3rd, but no dice from the number 6 as of yet. Nothing really happening, and don't count the 69 of Matt Cucker, who's just right behind that. He could capitalize on this at any moment.
And the 6 looks like he has great speed out of turn 1 and 2, but when he tried to make that pass, he just did not have the speed on the bottom side, and I don't think he's got the speed in turns 3 and 4 to do it. So if he's going to make this pass on the 33, I think turn 1 and 2 is going to be his best option. He has a lot of speed. You can see it right here. His closing rate is so much better than his turns 3 and 4, and I think this is going to be a good spot for him to make some advances, not only on the 33, but the 43 as well. Like you said, though, the 69 has to worry a little bit as well, but here comes Tommy Ryan right to the outside. He's going to look, he's going to get a lot of momentum here. Let's see if he's able to close in. Looks like he's going to be slightly stalled out. He does not show the nose, although I think he may have had the speed. Now he's going to go to the outside and possibly try and slide back under, but not the case. So they go 1, 2, 3, 4, or should I say 4, 5, 6, 7 with Peterson. And there goes the 33 to the bottom side of the 43 of Reed Rundle. And they have a little bit of contact. He's going to go around and into the outside wall. Caution is out.
Wow, you can just see that coming from all of the battling that they were doing. Unfortunately, Michael Heel just tried to get enough, and that number 43 of Reed Rundle was right in front of him, but nearly avoiding it was that number 28 or 26 machine of Joe Burchett. So unfortunately, he got a little piece of it on his right side of the car, but I believe that he'll be okay to go. And just an unfortunate timing and unfortunate event for the number 33 machine of Michael Heel.
And the 26 got a lot of damage on the right side of his car as well. He had got into the back of the number 33 as he had actually locked it down, but the car had still had a lot of momentum, and I think he's also got a little bit of left side damage from hitting the wall, but I think that car's going to be all right. It looks okay, but I'm not 100% sure when this goes back green, as we are on lap number 39 of tonight's event. Your top 5 is Jeremy Adams. He is actually in first place. Randy Yoakum, solid second place right now, with Tommy Ryan third, inheriting that position. Matt Cucker and Reed Rundle. That's your top 5. And these guys, you see them passing up pit road. Well, that's because they cannot come down for tires. There's no tires tonight, just racing on what you brought. And you can't come down for damage. But tonight, you come down for damage, it's probably not a good thing in the first place. So guys coming down for damage, probably already in the back, just trying to make sure that if anything is to happen, and anyone else, they'll have at least a slight advantage throughout the night. But so far, so good for these guys up front. This top 5 looks very stout here, Trevin, and we're about to go green here in just another couple laps.
Yeah, and a great point to make on the tires. They're obviously going to have to conserve their tires since they cannot take tires for the rest of this race at all. So they had to run 125 laps on the same tires for this 0.48 mile track. And I'm watching the laps as they click off, and I'm keeping an eye on the times that they're running, and it's still in the 18s. So I believe the tires are still good. That's why you see all this fighting happen. But come probably 20-30 more laps, it's going to be the tire wear is going to fall off, and the times are going to get a little bit slower. So I have to watch out for that.
Pace car is going to come down pit road, and the 89 will have control of this restart. Green flag is out. We're back racing at New Smyrna for our second restart of the night. 89 slowly goes down the track, but he's able to clear the 9. The 69 is going to be able to do the same. Randy Yoakum is going to be stuck on the bottom. You said that the bottom was good earlier on, Trevin. Now I think it's opposite, as a 9 slams into the 23, pushes him up the track. And Christian Peterson on the outside did not like that one bit, I'm sure, but 9's trying to keep the bottom steady. Still side by side for third place, Gary.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Peterson would be tempted to do that back, but I don't think he would want to risk it right now, and everyone having a close battle just behind him. Peterson finally clears for third place on the outside of Randy Yoakum. And heavy contact in the back, 43 sideways entering turns 1 and 2, and he saves it. It's practically sideways. That was Reed run down in the back. Bumper goes to number 81. Goodness gracious, John Ouellette. That was to make contact entering turn number 1, and 81 got forced up the racetrack during that time. I'm pretty sure that was just a little bit, that bump to the 43 was just a little bit of saying, hey, I'm not surprised or not too happy that you did that to me. And goodness, Scott Austin almost completely cut off the front nose of John Ouellette there. So this is quite interesting. And in the back around goes the number 80. It's Robbie Bunden.
So the number 80 Pennzoil Chevrolet finds itself head first into the inside yellow wall, and Let's take a second look and then see exactly what happened. It looks like the 56 of Brandon Wilkinson may have got involved in this one as well. So race control determines he was the cause of this one as well. It may be a early night for him at this point in tonight's race. And it looks like he got a little damage from behind as well, that being Brandon Wilkinson. So Brandon Wilkinson will be disqualified for his second strike of the night, so he will be done. He will more than likely finish dead last in this race, 17th place.
Yeah, and you just gotta watch out for that. Obviously, people have different braking zones on short tracks, and it looked like he just wanted to dig it in a little bit too deep, and Wilkinson just lost control of his car and got under that number 80 machine and spun him around a little bit. So really unfortunate end to his night, and I'm sure he'll be looking at that and seeing what he can fix and come back next week harder and stronger.
Definitely, what that two-strike rule means that once you get that first strike, it's kind of the rest of the race. I think it's one of those times when you just say to yourself, "Let's make this a points race." And I think Brandon was still thinking that, but being as low to the track, I don't think he expected his car to come straight back up and get into Robbie. So I think I could at least say that Brandon was trying to do the best he could to keep that car down there, but it just did not happen for tonight. And he'll be able to, if he wants to come back for the SLM, and he could definitely do that. But for this event in particular, he's not going to be able to do that. Let's run through your top 5 once again. Adams, he's still in first, has led every single lap so far. He'll be heavily contested from here on out as we have about 75 more laps of this race. Matt Kuttker, he's going to start second on this one. Christian Peterson third. Randy Yoakum, he starts fourth on this restart, and then Tommy Ryan, he'll start fifth. And Randy Yoakum, he got passed on the outside. It just shows you how strong it is right now.
And Jeremy Adams has been pretty much leading ever since I believe this race started. Well, lights on the pace car now, and he's been doing great on that outside lane. Because even though it's on the outside lane, he's been getting a great restart there. So we're going to see what Matt Kuttker can do on the inside line. Last restart, Randy Yoakum didn't do too well, so he's over in, I believe, well, now he's actually in 4th place. So Christian Peterson in 3rd. Maybe he could sneak an attack, but it's going to be quite interesting to see if Matt Kuttker can time the start as well as Adams.
This will be the first time Randy Yoakum's able to start on the outside lane, so be aware of that as well. We're in the restart zone. Green flag, but he kind of gets a similar start here. It's all about corner number 1, and the 89 pushes it down, pushes the 69 down the track. They made contact for just a little bit. And that's going to leave the 89 with a good bit of room for the lead, and number 9 still head on the outside, and he actually overdrove corner number 3, and so he's going to have the number 6, his inside 6 and 9 side by side for position number 4, and the top 3, they are on their own and battle behind these guys as well as it surfaces out. 22 and the 26, they've been battling basically all race long. They go side by side, 26 on the bottom, and have the advantage.
Obviously, the number 26's damage from the previous incident is not really weighing him down. He's able to still fight for positions, holding that number 6 position tough, and trying to work quickly on Randy Yoakum. But you see that battle behind him between John Lyday and Scott Austin. Scott Austin trying to make a name for himself for tonight, and I haven't really talked about him a lot tonight, but here he comes trying to make a move for that 7th position. He got it at the line. We'll see if he can hold him off, but you just see how strong that top line is. That number 22 is really taking advantage of it, and you're seeing these guys really flirt with the apron, trying to rotate their cars better on the apron, but that number 5 taps the number 22, John Lyday. He'll lose 4 spots from that, 3 to 4 spots, and obviously going to now have to regroup and really bring it back for him, and I don't think he's going to be too happy if he gets the back bumper of Scott Austin again, and he's just moving cars now. That number 03 got a little shot to the left bumper and got moved up the track a little bit. John Lyday really not happy for that incident that just happened.
Yeah, he's losing a little bit of control in that car. He almost took 2 drivers out just that last lap, but he got off the gas. He definitely is not making it intentional, I don't think, but he's going to have to get some recomposure and get right back in this thing, because he lost a lot of positions right there, at least 3 or 4 positions just in the last couple laps. And so that number 22 is going to have to get right back up there. And good battling in front of them. The 03 of Mike Shinosky. He lost a little bit of ground from earlier on, so he's behind Reed Rundle, who has lost a lot of time and a lot of positions since the beginning of this race. And I'm sure he wants to get back in there, but he's got some heavy right side damage on that machine. So going back through the field and getting it back to the front, pretty calm. Jeremy Adams has about a 3/10 lead over Matt Cucker, and then Christian Peterson solidly 5/10 behind that. Tommy Ryan and Randy Oakham kind of just minding their own business. Looks like Joe Burchett's going to try and start putting the pressure on the number 9, but the front is pretty relaxed, at least at this moment. Looked like maybe Tommy Ryan had made a mistake there in corner number 3 and 4, but he got a lot of speed off of 4, so maybe Ryan's trying something of a different approach. But this top 6 kind of spread out, but Joe Birch is starting to push the pressure on the 9.
Yeah, number 26 of Burchett, he's trying to do whatever he can, and he's just pretty much on top of the back bumper through corners 3 and 4. He's close to the gap, and right now or at least for position number 1, Matt Cucker has finally caught his way up to the leader of Jeremy Adams, and a little bit of a lap time comparison, was about 10th faster, and you can see Matt Cucker use that apron to his advantage ever so slightly. Last time around, essentially equal lap times, but nonetheless, Matt Cucker has closed the gap to about 2.5 car lengths to Jeremy Adams.
We'll keep a close eye on this because Matt Cucker has been climbing his way from 5th all the way to the front. You can see the closing rate between the middle of the corner. Now, Jeremy Adams still has a little bit better exit speed, but that corner, or that center of the corner, is really where Matt is starting to gain on the 60 or on the 86 as we approach halfway through this race. And realistically, that 69 has not had a chance at the lead up until now, and really the 89 hasn't had anyone to his bumper until now, so it's really fun to see which one of these drivers is going to prevail here. And I think it's a little early to be getting too aggressive here, but Jeremy Adams did pull away a little bit from the 69 right there, and it's kind of splitting hairs at this point. These guys have the same setup, and they're going to be really riding between basically splitting hairs on each corner entrance and each exit. It's about being as smooth with that wheel as possible, as we see these top 3 do week in and week out in these cars. So Matt Cucker looks like he gets a little bit of an advantage here in corner number 4. We'll see if that stays true here in the next few laps.
Yeah, you made a great point. All these drivers have the same setup, so it's about finding the correct track position for their car and what works for them that makes them get the good gas off the corner and able to make a run on these drivers in front of them. But most of these drivers making a good job for themselves. And I said at the beginning of this race, watch out for Matt Cucker and Christian Peterson. Even though Christian Peterson's in the back, doesn't mean he can make himself a good race for tonight, and he's currently 3rd stalking. Matt Cucker and Jeremy Adams watching what they're doing, maybe setting themselves up for a good finish for this race. Just looking through the rest of the field, and everybody's really single-filed out. I saw Scott Austin trying to make some moves on John Ouellette a few laps ago. He was really getting close in, and now John Ouellette is really pulling away from him a little bit, so I have to keep an eye on that. And then, just cars spread out throughout the field, and still Sean Cross making a good comeback from 17th position early on in this race, where he was involved in that first incident, and now he's currently sitting 12th, so making a good rebound from that. But this track is really tough on these cars, and still not really seeing that tire fall off, so still tires are good for battling, so this is why we're seeing so many cars run close together in 2 or 3 car packs.
And with these tires, as you just briefly mentioned, this is, I think, my favorite part of the race, is right where we get to the middle, because this is where you start to see who saved their tires and who is really aggressive on their tires. Because before the race, you think to yourself, all right, I got to make it to the end with both tires. But when you get into that race car and you get onto the track, sometimes that predetermined way of racing goes away a little bit, and you start to really want to get to the front. You want to do it as desperately as possible. We saw some really crazy moves earlier on in this race, and we're not seeing them as much now because I think everyone's starting to remember, hey, I got to make it to the end of this race. I got to make it 75 more laps with these tires. And so these guys really got to remember that before the end of this one. And we are getting really close to halfway. Once we hit lap 75, get that switch. And speaking of tires and drivers who are not maybe able to, or just finding an issue, Michael Held I think he almost hit the grass there in turns 3 and 4. So, like I said, just gonna have to watch these drivers, each one in particular. But that lead, it's getting closer once again. Jeremy Adams, Matt Cucker, nose to tail. And I think this is the closest Matt Cucker has ever been. This is just right at that halfway point. Matt Cucker on the backstretch just lost a little bit more time, and it's just so close between these two right now. And I think Matt Cucker is just kind of waiting for an opportunity, which sometimes you have to wait, and he's got a long time to do it. But this, I think right now is a time where Matt Cucker is just kind of waiting for a good opportune moment to make his chance happen.
Yeah, Cucker just wants to fill that mirror of the number 89 of Adams as much as possible, maybe, and somehow try to get Adams to mess up, but don't count out the driver that's right behind both of these two, and that's Christian Peterson. He was essentially, last time around, about a 10th quicker or so. And that's just rounding up, no less. So for Christian Peterson, he's definitely on the charge, and you can tell, well, it's going back to the discussion of tires, who saved their tires and who used them up. Well, Christian Peterson most definitely saved his tires, and he's doing a great job right now, and he's starting to reel in these front two as quick as he can.
Jeremy Adams has a 0.2 of a second lead in front of Matt Cucker, 1.2 in front of Christian Peterson. And something that we mention every once in a while, because we do get them occasionally, is those competition cautions. We will have one at lap 91 if we don't have a caution, a natural caution before that point. So, and it looks like it's going to reach that point, at least at this point, Trevin, because these guys are being pretty solid and pretty stable. And I think if you're any of these guys that aren't really battling, like I'd say if you're John Ouellette, Scott Austin, maybe even Mike Shinowski, this is a time to really start saving your tires, because you know if 10 laps go by and there's not a caution, you can really maybe get an upper hand and cool those tires off just a little bit and get a slight advantage. It may not be a large advantage, but it's going to be a slight advantage as we see Randy Yoakum and Joe Burchett start to go at it here.
That's exactly the point that I was going to make coming up next. And, you know, these drivers just really have to save their tires. Again, they only have one set throughout the rest of this race. And, you know, they really made a good job of conserving these tires. Again, watching these lap times, they're not really starting to fall off a little bit, maybe just 0.2, 0.1 of a second. But they've really done a great job. And, you know, you see the back bumper now that the 26 is given to the number 9 of Yoakum. And, you know, these guys probably just want to hang out a little bit, stop, you know, pushing, because you just, either way, they're going to get a caution, either at lap number 91 or, you know, maybe they'll even be the cause of the caution if they keep on racing hard. But, you know, again, you made a great point. Just keep on saving those tires, maybe not run the lower line, maybe get a little backed off into the corner, maybe run that middle or upper line, and, you know, just continue to save those tires so they have something for the rest of this race. And, you know, it's really just a great mechanic that they've really brought to this service for this league, and, you know, it's really going to make for some great racing for the end of this race.
And Joe Burchett did make a few charges to the inside of the 9, and you can see this track is just completely transforming right now in those corners. You can see how much rubber has been laid down by the 15 cars that are on track right now, and total cars that have been on here. But Joe Burchett still making gains on the number 9 of Randy Yoakum. I think if he's able to get it in the next couple laps, I think that's a good thing for him. But if he's going to have to really work for it, that's what I would call it and say, all right, Randy, you won the battle. I'm going to try and win the war and get you on the next one. But the 26 is right up to his bumper, and I think he could have made a charge to the inside, but he has not done it yet. Randy, I think, was a little slow out of the corner number 2, and good battle between these two. It's really fun to watch. It also is fun to watch that battle up front, as it looks like it's getting close as well. Matt Cucker just made a shoot down to the bottom side of the 89. He looked down there for just a second, did not have it. Remember, we only have a few more laps to go, but we'll keep watching this battle up front.
Yeah, Matt, coming out of turn number 2, Matt Cucker, he was looking to the inside. He had the momentum for a few moments, but unfortunately coming out the corner, Jeremy Adams had that run off, and, well, again, it's just more over unfortunate for Matt Cucker. But again, he does have time. He still has a good number of laps, and that goes the same for Joe Burchett and Randy Yoakum. Well, in this case, it should be, at least for the battle, it should be Joe Burchett, because, well, he's just waiting now, and a few laps ago he was right on the top of the back bumper of the number 9, and same goes for, again, the front 2 runners. Looks like Matt Cucker now is backed off, and he's going to try again a bit later in the race, most likely, as he's deciding, you know what, instead of trying to race as hard as I can, I'm going to save my tires now and maybe make a charge. And he gets a great entry right there in turns 1 and 2, and I believe he closed up the gap ever so slightly in the process.
So it's only a matter of time between that now and the time that that competition caution comes out. And if you're these guys up front, I think you know that. I think Matt Cucker just backed off and said, "All right, it's gonna take too long to get that pass done." So we're coming up on lap number 91. That's when this caution is going to happen, or the lap as they complete it. So it's gonna be sometime here in the next 15 seconds or so. But kind of seeing everyone start to let off, and that's because the caution has now officially come out. Pace car will grab these guys in turn number 1 and 2. This is going to be a fun one to the end because we won't get another competition caution. There's not enough laps left, but we will have a good amount of around 30 laps on this next restart.
Yeah, and they really did a great job of keeping their composure and recognizing that they're going to be coming to a caution pretty soon here. So hats off to them, and they're going to have a great race to the end of this one. About maybe probably 30 laps to go once they get that green flag again. So it's really just going to be a hard charging all the way to the end. And I think Christian Peterson has going to have a better run going into turn 1 from Matt Cucker, because he's going to be in that prime position, third position, and he's going to be able to see when Jeremy Adams takes off and get that better run on Matt Cucker going into the corner. But we'll just have to see who saved their tires really all that well. It's really going to be a fight to the finish here.
I'd have to believe that Christian Peterson has probably the best hand of all these guys, just because it didn't seem like he was pushing as hard as Matt was there, and he had to let off about a second and a half. And whether it wasn't, I think it might have been at least a little intentional, but if it wasn't, he might be in some trouble. And then I'd say Matt Cucker's in a really good position. But Jeremy Adams, he hasn't lost the lead at all this whole race. He hasn't wavered at any point in tonight's race. He's led every single lap tonight. I think he might be the pick for this one if it goes all the way green between now and the end, just because he's got a good car, and I think he's going to be able to nail this restart. He's just got to hold off Matt Cucker and Christian Peterson. Those two obviously very good. And Randy Yoakum and Tommy Ryan here in 4th and 5th. They've been really fun to watch with Joe Burchett, as well as it looks like we're going to possibly get the pace car lights off this time. We'll just have to see just a little bit longer. Pace car lights are still going to be on. So another lap here at New Smyrna under caution. And don't forget, the next race, the super late models, they're not going to be here at New Smyrna. They're going to be at Charlotte. And that'll be a really fun, very fun race to watch. I think we've all seen those races at the Charlotte one. That's just a blast to watch the guys go to Charlotte for the Legends Oval on that one. So definitely want to stick around for that one, because you're going to see fast cars go around in a tiny circle as the pace car comes out of turn number 4. More than likely, the lights will go off, and going to be having shootout to the end here.
It's going to be a very, very exciting shootout here. Maybe Randy Yoakum, he did back off with just a couple Matt Cucker, he backed out just a little bit before that competition caution came out, so maybe that small amount of time for saving his tires could be very beneficial to him here in the closing laps of this race.
Pace car's coming into turn 3. We'll duck down to the safety of pit road as soon as he gets to turn number 4. And Jeremy Adams, this might be the last restart we have of tonight's race at New Smyrna. And Jeremy Adams is off and away. Green flag back in the air. Good restart by the top 3 drivers. Side by side for this first position. And Matt Cucker not able to stay with him. And Matt Cucker's not going to be able to get that position. Adams prevails on the top side. He's picked that top side every time he could get it. The 23 and the 6 now do battle, but that's going to straighten itself out as well. Randy Yoakum stuck on the bottom of the track, losing 1, now almost 2 positions. He's going to have to get right back up to the top side to try and keep that position here. He's going to try and get right back to that top 5. Single file other than the 81 and the 26. 26 tries to slide up. He does. Able to get that extra little bit of effort went a long way in that turn number 4 for the number 26 of Joe Burchett.
You've seen all these drivers really turn up the heat coming from this last restart, because they know this race is winding down. Coming to 25 laps to go, you're starting to see a lot more battles on the track. This is a really close racing. Christian Peterson trying to find a different way around Matt Cucker as we have a caution on the track.
That's going to be the number 43 of Reed Rundle, who had started in 4th position tonight. And he was in the 6th position in points before tonight's race too. This will not help his cause. We'll have to see exactly what happened to him. It looks like he and the 41 had got together, and I don't know if he thought he was clear, but he went up and ran into the 41, and I don't know exactly what. It looks like the 41 had given it back to him almost. That's an interesting one. I have to watch that a couple more times, but yeah, it looks like the 41 may have given it back to him right there in turn number 2 or turn number 3.
And I believe I may have actually found the reason as to why it had happened, because just a little bit earlier on the back straightaway, just on the same lap coming off turn number 2, Reed Rundell actually came up ever so slightly. It might have been a mistake, more understandably, it might have been a mistake, but he went up into the 41 of Sean Cross, so Rundell lost a little bit of control in turn 3, slid up, so pretty sure Sean Cross wasn't too happy about that, so that's more of a, well, actually, never mind, yeah, he just got the EOL penalty, so looks like we found the cause of that, so quite unfortunate that this happened, but this could give out another chance for Matt Cucker to get back into the inside and time that start once again.
Yeah, I think at first you could say it could go both ways for those guys, but when you saw Reed Rundle slide back up the track, Sean Cross had enough time to get out of the gas or make it a maneuver to get out of the way, but that instead got back on the throttle. So that's what puts us under the caution once again. And another time, this will set us up for another interesting restart. And I have to point this out, but Randy Yoakum has been so strong at the front, but has fallen back, and I think purely because he started on the bottom of all of these restarts, and he's going to be starting on the bottom once again in 7th place. So I know he's going to be trying to do everything he can to get back up there. However, starting on the bottom has not been helpful to him, as he's starting in 7th on this next restart. John Ouellette, Joe Burchett, and Tommy Ryan were all able to get around him on that on the last 2 restarts. So for him in particular, I think he's going to want to try and really get back up there, Trevin, to try and get back at the top 5.
Yeah, you're going to see these guys fighting all race long now, coming to 20 laps to go, and it's really only going to get more intense from here, as you're pointing out on this restart. Track position is critical at a racetrack like this, where the top line has really come in, and that bottom line isn't really working out for most drivers. So, all these drivers on the top side are really going to have a better advantage going into the corner. And Christian Peterson clearly still on that bottom side, so he's got to find a way up to that top side, or find a way to make that bottom side work for him, as he's got a cluster of cars right behind him, as well as Jeremy Adam and Matt Cucker have that same issue for this restart coming up. But this very well could be the last restart of the night. I'm not sure on that. I would not put money on that, but going to be exciting nonetheless, Austin.
Jeremy Adams once again is in control of this restart. He's been in control of all the restarts, but not the start. Green flag in the air. The 6 of Tommy Ryan, they made a big push and got him almost completely clear. He's going to go right in front of the 80 or the 69, and there's a lot of contact between 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place. This gave Jeremy Adams a humongous lead over these guys, and they're going to be fighting back, second on back, and looks like Matt Cucker's going to be able to clear the 6, and the 6 is going to give a big push, but we got a wreck towards the back, and looks like the 5, the 41 are involved, and that's going to leave Randy Yoakum going around in turn number 1. He's stopped in the grass, and we just talked about how he has only been going backwards, not to
the 9 and the 5.
Forward, and that is exactly what happened. The 9 and the 5, and 9 went up the track just a little bit and caught the 5. He gets back into the 9, and then it's on from there. And I'm not exactly sure what happened to the 9 after that. Looks like he got taken out later on in that one. So yeah, the 33 had just taken him out after that. I'm not sure exactly why that happened.
Obviously you were talking about that turn 4 coming into tonight's race, and that's just where we saw a big wreck happen, and I'm not too sure about that 33 either. Maybe he didn't know that there was going to be a caution coming out, or he was just trying to get around that number 9 in time for that caution, so he had that position. But nonetheless, the number 9 got turned by that 33 machine after all that happened, so I'm not too sure. But again, that turn 4, obviously a trouble spot for some drivers, and Jeremy Adams still holding on to that lead while Matt Cucker's in 2nd. Christian Peterson fell down 1 position, and that restart that we saw, I think he had a little bit of tire spin going into the restart box area, and just got up in the driver above him and really caused a stack up and made some drivers go 3 wide into turn number 1. They made it through okay, thankfully, but I'm sure a very scary situation for some of those drivers out there.
And that was the best restart for Jeremy Adams. He did not want to see a caution on that one, and it came out, so he's going to have to deal with that. And Tommy Ryan was able to get around Christian Peterson on that one, but the bad thing about that is Tommy Ryan's been really strong on that top side, and now Christian Peterson is going to be able to take that option away from him. So definitely not something that not something that he wanted, but he's going to have to try and make the best of it, because that outside has been really going these last couple of restarts, and I think Tommy gave the 89 a humongous push to get that restart going in Jeremy's favor. So look like the pace car lights will be staying on here, Gary, as we go through turns 1 and 2. Just another lap under pacing here.
Yeah, it's a lot longer for the anticipation of pretty much everybody. So 14 laps to go. Well, actually, no, scratch that. 13 laps to go when we go green the next time by, or 2 times from now in this case, as the lights at the moment have yet to go off. So Jeremy Adams, all he has to do, if this is the unfortunate trend, then all Adams has to do is just keep nailing these restarts as best as he can. But one thing that he can't afford to do is wheel spin like Christian Peterson did. But we've seen Jeremy Adams, he hasn't really done anything major on any restarts in terms of messing up or any errors. If he has, it's been very subtle, I guess, and it hasn't really affected him much, as he's managed to overcome that as quick as possible. So for Adams, this is one of the many restarts that he's had to give himself a little bit of a buffer and in turn number 1.
We've said this might be the last restart, the last 2 restarts, so he may not say that, but I just did, so don't know what I said there. Jeremy Adams starts this restart, pace car down and away, green flag in the air, and the 69 got a better restart that time. I think this might have been his best restart of the night so far on the inside. 89 still has the big advantage, but they are heads up on the back straightaway, still side by side. The 89 is going to push the 69 down just a little bit on the track. And wow, Matt Cucker has a huge advantage coming out of turn number 4, but the momentum sticks with the 89, and they're going to make contact. I think Jeremy Adams was ahead before the next caution had just come out. Jeremy Adams is going to just barely squeak ahead, and we have a big mess on the front straightaway. Jeremy Watkins is heavily damaged, and looks like Scott Austin has more wear and tear and more character to that car than he originally had. We're going to have to see exactly what happened. Looks like it came out of turn number 4, a little bit of 3 wide.
And again, just turn 4 again. You're making that point. Turn 4 being that trouble spot, but all these drivers are really just trying to push it as hard as they can. Gilliman Thornton has pulled his car behind the wall and has called it a night for his machine. So it's really, really hard to see all this happen, and we'll see how much action ramps up.
With that action happening in turn number 4, that was a close one for Jeremy Adams, as he was very, very close to being passed by Matt Cucker a couple of times. And if he was in front of him, if he was in front of Jeremy Adams at that point of caution, it would have been Matt Cucker's lead, and he was only in front of him for a short time, but it was just before Matt Cucker was there. So very, very close between those 2 drivers. And with less than 10 laps to go, we're going to have a restart, but it's getting very close to, I believe, the time limit with these guys as well. There's a time limit. I believe it is a 55-minute time limit, so we may not get that close to it. We're about 10 minutes out on it, but that will be it'll be getting close. But these guys, even if they were to pace the rest of the way, they'd be fine. But this restart in particular, Jeremy Adams, he's been flawless. No laps not led so far by Jeremy, but this is the closest he's been to losing it. And we said earlier, if there was going to be anyone to win this race, we were wondering who it would be. Right now, Jeremy Adams looks like the one driver to maybe break the mold between these guys who have won already.
Yeah, it's going to be just the anticipation is killing probably both me, Jeremy Adams, and maybe also Matt Cucker, especially since he had timed that restart just perfectly that time by. So 8 laps to go at the moment, so 7 laps to go when we cross the line, most likely when we get the lights out. So it's going to be a 6-lap shootout, and it's going to be from what Evan likes to call it, as usual, the point of no return. So I believe once a caution comes up, pretty much on 5 laps to go, or in this case, more towards the end of the race, then in that case, the race is pretty much over. So essentially, this is the last chance for Matt Cucker if anything were to happen. But right now, Jeremy Adams has to nail his restart ever so slightly, just a little bit better. So he has to catch Matt Cucker off guard this time by on this restart.
We do have one opportunity at a green-white checker, but only one attempt, and that definitely has to deal with what I had said earlier about the time that we have. So Matt Cucker on the inside, he starts second. Jeremy Adams prefers that outside as he has been very, very strong. This might possibly be the last restart. A lot of bumping and banging on this restart as we have 6 laps to go. Jeremy Adams, Matt Cucker side by side as we've been talking about all night. A little bit of contact between the middle of the corner. Adams gets a good run, a lot of contact behind them, and the yellow flag is going to come out once again, and the 81 was on top of another car on the back straightaway.
The number 26 and the 81 got together. I believe it was just a racing deal. That number 81 of John Ouellette ended up into the outside wall. That 03 was really unfortunately placed and tried to stop, but that number 9 got into the back of the 03 and made John Ouellette go on top of his car, and chaos ensued behind him as well. So I believe that John Ouellette's night is done. I can see his engine blown from that hard hit, and it's just really unfortunate for him, and I believe we're going to use this as a green-white checkered attempt.
Well, the odd thing about this one is that John Ouellette wouldn't have cleared either the 23 or the 26 on this one, so it was kind of a bizarre move that the 81, he had the space 3 wide in the middle, but just kept on coming down the track, and he actually clipped Peterson and the 26, so it was a double whammy for the 81, and then when he overcorrected into the wall, it was absolutely done. The 03 gets into him, and I think that's one of the more wilder things we've seen on the sim. I think the one thing that goes a little farther than that is the number 00 of Gabe Wood going on top of another car, or going through the air for about 2 or 3 seconds in a Legends car. But that's basically as close as it gets to the wildest thing I've ever seen with a wreck, just being on top of another car, basically using the Newman bar if they had him. So Jeremy Adams still has the lead. We have that green and white checkered. If iRacing goes by that, we're going to have to keep an eye on that pace car, because if that pace car lights go off on the 1 to go, we are going green. So it'll be this time by that determines what kind of restart we get. After that, race control will let these guys know, and we will let you know what exactly is going to happen here on this restart. So this is where it happens. This is where we're going to know exactly how this race is going to turn out, whether it's green, white, checkered or not. And the pace car lights are going to still stay on. So this looks like we are going to get that overtime procedure. Only one chance that we're going to have at it. And the top 5 is as follows: Jeremy Adams, Matt Cucker, Christian Peterson, Tommy Ryan, and Joe Burchett. That is your top 5 right now. And so I'm getting more information on this. We're going to get that green, white, checkered, and that information is coming to me quickly. But they're going to let that pace car continue to go around the field. Looks like they're going to possibly double up this next time by. We're just going to keep our eyes on it, guys. But this restart in particular, this is the only chance they have at it, Gary.
Yeah, this is the goodness, one chance that they have, and right now race control is talking to the drivers saying to stay at single file. So once the pace car goes off and they hit the start-finish line for, I believe, essentially the checkers, is when they go double file. So when the pace car pulls off, it's going to be a restart essentially for the green, white, checkered, and they have to go not at the first restart zone of the white line, but you're going to see from Jeremy Adams, not this white line, but right here is right there. That's where they're going to have to go. So that's pretty much their, essentially, the starter will wave the green flag. So this is, like Austin mentioned, the Austin race control. So apparently they say if the caution is called, if race control calls a caution before the white flag, then that is the race. So this is going to be very interesting.
We're going to have one green, white, checkered, green, white, and then checkered. So these guys, pace car is going to duck down pit road. We're going to have green flag in the air. Jeremy Adams already off and away. A little earlier than we anticipated. The 69 and him get into each other. It looks like the 89 is going to have a good advantage off the corner. He's gone and away. Number 89 goes through turns 3 and 4 with a lot of steam. Going to come around turn number 4 with a good lead, but the 69 is coming right back at him, right down to the bottom side of the track. White flag in the air, and here comes the 69 to the bottom of the track. Big wreck behind them, but it's the front two we're paying attention to, and the 69 is going to try and put it down, but he's not going to be there. The 89, Jeremy Adams, comes out of turn 4, and he will win this race at New Smyrna. New winner for this series, Jeremy Adams. First win of the season. A good run by the two behind him, but a big wreck behind him had given some other guys some woes. We'll go through the full finishing order, but Jeremy Adams gets his first victory of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And, that big wreck, again, coming out of turn number 4, the 03 and the 5 got together. Scott Austin involved in another incident, and Matt Shanowski, and then the number 90 of Jeremy Watkins and the number 34 of Todd Novostad really just went airborne, and number 90 ended up on his lid going down the front stretch. So unfortunate finish for those guys out here on the track.
Jeremy Adams parks his car in the pink and black checkered area in the front of the track, and we'll go through your finishing order and see where your favorite drivers finish. Jeremy Adams, he finishes tonight's race first, led every single lap, even though he started in the second position. Matt Cucker finishes tonight's race in second. Christian Peterson, biggest mover, 17th to third tonight. Tommy Ryan goes third to fourth. Joe Burchett, he'll finish tonight's race in the... Actually, Ryan got third position, so he will finish in third. So we'll be talking to those 3 drivers after this one, but in just a moment we're going to get a hold of Jeremy Adams. Looks like we're going to be able to get a hold of him in victory lane. Jeremy, you won your first race of the season. I'm sure you're pretty ecstatic, and to top it all off, you also led every single lap.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I don't know, it's just a product of this track. The car can literally be 2/10 faster than you, and it's still, as long as you guard the top, they really can't pass. So luckily I was able to hold Matt off, which I think was quite a bit better than me at the end. So I'm feeling pretty good right now.
You had a lot of restarts in the last 30 laps of this race, and then with the green-white checker, it seemed that was probably the more nerve-wracking part, because it was a completely different restart zone. What about those last few restarts did you think you had the advantage, and which ones did you think you didn't, or what about them were you a little nervous about?
I was nervous about every restart. I would rather seen it went green and kind of got to race it out. I don't think he could have got around me on the bottom, but going into the first corner, it was just so hard to carry momentum on the bottom. So whoever's at the top is at such an advantage is the biggest deal. But he almost got around me once. I didn't get a good restart, so I don't know. We didn't have too many more. I don't know. I was antsy.
Well, we enjoyed watching you guys race here tonight, and for you, it's going to be your first victory of the season, and this definitely helps you out in the points for quite a bit. So before we let you go, Jeremy, shout out sponsors who makes it happen for you in the 89 machine.
All the guys at Team Vencer are my teammates. Peterson Irrigation, Scott Austin Designs, Wilcom. I want to thank you guys for broadcasting, and Barnes for putting on a good show.
All right, there you have it. Jeremy Adams' first victory of the season. We're going to talk to Matt Cucker and Tommy Ryan. Matt Cucker will catch up with Trevin Valderrama, and Tommy Ryan, he will catch up with Gary Weaver.
Down here on pit road with Matt Cucker. Matt, that was an amazing performance that you put on. What was your thoughts coming into tonight, knowing that you only had the one set of tires on a track such as this?
Coming in the night, I knew this track, it always turns out to be a one-groove track, and I was hoping we could try to save the right front a little bit more, and maybe everyone else would wear off the right front. But hats off to Jeremy. He saved his tires when he was out front there, and came home with the win. And I mean, I just couldn't save enough right front and get rid of the right rear to make me a little bit looser because I was just way too tight to try to run the bottom. And him holding the top, there was just nothing you could do. So we'll settle for a second, and it's another good points night.
Absolutely, and coming with 5 races to go, are you feeling confident for the point standings that you're going to be able to hold on to it and be able to complete into a good top position?
I don't know. Anything's possible, especially with Christian right there nipping at my heels. I mean, one bad week in late model stocks, you get taken out, or you go down pit road to fix damage and take tires on accident and you get DQ'd. So anything can happen with 5 weeks to go. So, I mean, I'm just going to try to continue and put in my best effort and try to get good finishes and hopefully we can come out on top this season.
And before we let you go, any sponsors or shoutouts that you'd like to give out tonight?
I got to thank Team Vince here, Six Man Race Cars, Globalcom, iAnalyze, Scott Austin Designs, Turn 3 Auto Transport, and you guys for putting on a broadcast week in and week out, and Kyle Barnes for putting a show on.
All right, that was the number 69 and Matt Cucker. Gary, down with Tommy Ron.
Yeah, standing here with Tommy Run, who started third and finished third, but except for finishing third, he came ever so slightly, just barely being at Christian Pearson by about half a hood, essentially about 1.5 to 2 feet. So, Ryan, I'm pretty sure that you're very, very relieved that you managed to finish third as you came into this race, third in points as well, came into the race third. So, threes all across the board for you, no doubt.
Yeah, man, anytime I can get a nose in front of Christian, man, it's a win. Dude's hard to beat. I had to pinch him pretty hard there out of 4, and I know he was, easing off the throttle to keep getting in from me, so I got to thank him for racing me clean there. But gosh, man, that was we had a couple long runs there before we get the comp cautions, but I tried to figure out how those guys were running so quickly, and I kind of learned some stuff in that long run, so it kind of set me up there for the little sprints, and I was able to hang on. But yeah, I mean, it's just really hard to pass. To get around somebody, you had to move them, and didn't want to wreck anybody. But overall, man, a solid night. I'm really happy with the third.
And he managed to pull off an amazing performance. So, just a couple more questions. First one being for the Langley Speedway next week for same amount of laps, 125. Any thoughts for next week?
It's about like every week, man. Track position is so important. If you get back there in the mess, man, it's really hard to claw your way through there. So you got to qualify well, and hopefully the draw goes correctly, or you're somewhere, in the top 5, and you just can't make a mistake. Hopefully the guys around you don't make any mistakes and send you to the back. But it'll be good. You just got to do a little homework to make sure you're up to speed.
Oh, that is true. So before I let you go, any sponsors or shout outs that you'd like to give for your finish here tonight? Who helps you? And essentially, who helps you?
Yeah, man, I got my longtime sponsor, Northern Tool and Equipment, northerntool.com, and DJ Beverly, Coastal Safety Auditors. And obviously for Kyle putting this thing on and you guys doing the broadcast, man. It's a blast. Good times.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing to watch up here too. So we're gonna go ahead and let you go. Congratulations once again on finishing third.
Appreciate it, guys. See ya.
So be handing it back over to Austin Coop.
And right now we're going to have a special guest, Jacqueline Drake, who is event marketing and charge of social media. I may not be 100% on with that, Jacqueline. But first off, thanks for joining us tonight for the race. We also know that you do a little bit of pit reporting, I think, on that as well. But I think the first thing we want to know is you're involved with the Cars Tour, not the eSport Tour, the Cars Tour. So I think the first thing we want to ask is kind of about the last couple of races that you guys have had, the race at Ace and then the race at Anderson. First off with the race at Ace with the late model stocks.
Yeah, hey guys, thanks for having me today. So this past weekend, the Cars Response Energy Tour actually did something for the first time in the history of the series, which was have 2 solid premier race events at 2 different locations at the same time. So logistically, it was pretty crazy to split up the series officials, split up our procedures and perform it in 2 different locations. And so we competed, obviously, the late model stocks at Ace, and we had our supers at Anderson. But at Ace Speedway, we had a very familiar face that pretty much dominated that event, which was Bobby McCarthy. And he has actually won 3 Cars Tour races this year. And when he was at Ace this past weekend, he also got the a little bit of battle against Josh Berry, which is a very known face in the Touring 12 of the late model stocks. But he quickly got to the lead and took over the lead against Josh Berry and ended up in victory lane.
And so for us here in the iRacing world, we're very used to seeing both the differences between iRacing and the real world of racing, and you can definitely see the differences between the NASCAR race cars, and even NASCAR themselves have put out posts on iRacing. But whenever it comes to the short tracks, I think we are the exposure that it gets between the difference. And I think for you, I think it's interesting to see at least maybe see what did you see tonight? Maybe the differences, similarities, and the crossover between the reality of real world racing and the virtualness of iRacing tonight.
Yeah, I think one thing that iRacing really does is, one, I really think it helps drivers because it is so similar to real life. And in that instance of the conditions, so for example, the track conditions that are simulated in the eSport, are very similar to real life as well as your car. So, you talked a little bit about throughout this race the tire wear and saving your tires, and that's a real struggle even on the actual track and in real life as well as in the eSport tour. And so the crossovers between what happens on virtual racing and in real life are very, very similar, which is an advantage for a lot of drivers because they can spend their time on the week practicing at tracks that are similar to the race that they're going to go to on Saturday, and almost kind of give them an edge up when they show up on the track on Saturday because they've been racing virtually in similar conditions. And they can also play around with their car, adjusting their setups and just kind of seeing what they like.
That's definitely a lot of good insight from someone who's kind of coming into this and really had a lot of doesn't maybe you have a lot of real world experience, probably more than some of us, where we had the experience for the iRacing side. And before we let you go, the next race at I believe it's pronounced Carteret. I may be
Yes.
incorrect on that. That one's coming up soon. Do you have anything in store for us on that?
Yeah, so June 23rd, so next weekend, for the first time, the Cars Response Energy Tour is traveling to Carteret County Speedway with the late model stocks. They're also going to have mini stocks and legend cars there, and it's going to be a pretty cool event because we have a lot of big names, including like Lee Pulliam, who has never raced there before, and there's a lot of excitement coming up as we travel to Carteret Speedway because it's known as being one of the nicest tracks around. I personally have never been to this track, so the Cars Tour is really excited to get to go, and I know everybody at Carteret Speedway is excited to have us.
And so that's going to be for the Crystal Coast 125, and that's in Swansboro, North Carolina. So if you're in the area, definitely head out. You'll be able to say it better than I would, but I think that's actually really, really fascinating for the tour to go there for the first time. Once again, thanks, Jacqueline, for coming along and sticking with us. We might talk to you later in the middle of the race for the second half, but for now, we're gonna go to break, and then we'll come back with the super late models here with the Cars eSport Tour, and we'll be back at the Charlotte Legends Oval here in just a little bit. You don't want to miss out. We'll be back in just a little bit. Are we clear? Okay, I got to the restroom. It's like really bad. I gotta go to the restroom so bad, man.
And go.
Run!
Uh-oh.
Welcome back to the Cars eSport Tour. We have changed the venue, the Charlotte Legends Oval, with super late models here at Charlotte. Guys, this is one of my favorite configurations. It's the flattest thing that we can possibly race with this configuration of car track combination, and I'm really looking forward to this. Trevin, Gary, this will be really fun to watch, and these guys are awaiting the command to get ready to race. Another series, another round of points also to be looked at, with Christian Peterson leading this one by only 3 points over Jake Watson and Matt Cucker. So for these guys in particular, the points are a lot closer, but those guys who are close, they're pretty far away from everyone else.
Yeah, and the cool thing that I like about this track is the backstretch per se, which is really just the pit road, is kind of two different, asphalt and concrete mixtures because it's obviously pit road. So we're gonna have to see if these drivers run out to that or just really stay below that yellow line and not really want to touch that area. But again, obviously a flat track, as Austin pointed out. Really exciting to see how these drivers will be able to handle it. And again, no tires for this whole entire race, and we have to see how these drivers fare with that, because again, flat track don't really mix well with tires, and it's going to be exciting to see. And this is an open setup, so a lot other drivers are going to have different kinds of setups for this race.
That is one of the biggest things for tonight's race is open setup race. You can do whatever you want to that car as long as it passes inspection at the end of the day. Starting up front, a man who just won all the way in Florida. That's Jeremy Adams and Joe Burchett. They'll start to his outside in the number 26. Charlie Melvin starts third tonight with Michael Hill starting fourth. Tommy Ryan, he'll start in the fifth position.
Starting in position at number 6 will be Christian Peterson. Matt Coker to his back left, if you will, in the 7th place position. Jake Watson to his outside in the number 88 in 8th place. Glenn Hale starts 9th, and Jeremy Watkins rounds out the top 10.
Gilliman Fortin will be starting 11th. Scott Austin at P12. P13 will go to Brandon Wilkinson. P14 goes to Richard Reagan Jr. John Ouellette starting P15. Jacob Porter starting 16th. And Brownie Agger 17. Car Field, Randy Oak.
And just like that, it'll only be a couple laps between now and the start of the race, as the pace car is coming out of turn 4 already. As soon as it gets to turn number 3, it'll go all the way down the entrance of the NASCAR pit road. And so with 1 lap to go, we want to thank you again for the second half, coming by and watching the second half of the Cars eSport Tour Super Late Models at this very, very short track. 0.25 miles is what we're going to be doing today, or tonight I should say, and this is going to be a bumpy ride for a lot of these drivers. There's a lot of room, but there's also not very much room in the corners. So green flag is going to be in the air. Jeremy Adams gets a good start, very wiggly on the outside for the 26 of Joe Burchett. He's able to hold on, but that gives a big lead to the 89 as we go racing.
Yeah, and it's going to be hard to see these drivers, or interesting to see these drivers, how hard it is to come to the restart, because most of them are in the middle of the corner and trying to get the power down so they get a good restart. And it's a 0.25 mile track, so they're constantly going to be turning, and we're seeing all these drivers just file out, and Jeremy Adams still taking a good lead and using that momentum from that previous win. So we'll have to see how this works out.
First two are starting to fight their way forward and get some space. Christian Peterson on the outside of the 33 of Michael Held. That's a battle for position with those guys, and the 69 behind him. And once you go side by side, it starts to really stack up behind you. You're seeing Matt Coker. He's going to look to the inside and look to his outside, William Hale. William Hale, he's had a lot of success in the real world. He's going to have a lot of success in this race, too, if he tries the outside like he did. But he got a little wiggly off of turn number 2. And these guys, oh, wow, big wiggle out of the number 69. Had a little help from behind. That was Jake Watson. That can be very easy to do, and it's really easy to get right back on the horse with this as well. But we are already 5 laps into this thing. We've only been here for a minute of racing, so these laps can go by very quickly. I think the one thing I've already started to notice is drivers are starting to use that grass already. You don't see that typically this early, but we are already starting to see drivers using the grass, trying to use it to their advantage.
Yeah, everyone's trying to use that for some type of grip as much as possible, so not really sure what most of these drivers can do or how much they can keep it. And you mentioned 5 laps in. Well, now we're 8 laps in, and apparently brake rotors are already glowing, so it's quite interesting, and it's very amazing to see how quickly those brake rotors can heat up among this very short racetrack. Jeremy Adams has already checked out. I would say he's in his own zip code, but not so much. He still has a sizable lead ahead of Charlie Melvin, but Melvin essentially could catch up at any time, or provided Adams makes a mistake, or maybe even Tommy Ryan, who's just sitting here up in 3rd.
On board of William Hale just now is really good point of view to see exactly what you're seeing. you just really sometimes can't do anything. You have to get a really big run on somebody in order to get that position, and then you also have to have the drive on the bottom of the corner if you go side by side with them. That's not an easy feat in these cars, especially if you're a little bit mishandling at the beginning of this set. And a lot of drivers are probably, before this race, trying to make their setup as good as possible on the long run. You know, everyone can, just about everyone can make a short run setup, but making these cars last 150 laps and not wearing that right front as much as possible, that's gonna be tough. And pitting here would be something you didn't want to do in the first place, because how long it would take to make service. But definitely no one's going to be coming down pit road, even for damage, I think, at this place, unless you want to lose 2, maybe even 3 laps. And under green, you'd be losing upwards to 10 at some point, depending on how much damage you have to fix. So side-by-side battle. William Hale's on the inside of the 26 of Joe Burchett. Those guys go side-by-side, and William Hale trying to get another position on the night. He started 9th. He's going to get 6th place right here, and a little bit of contact with the 2 behind William. That's going to be the 69 getting the 26. But Hale won his first race in the Cars eSport Tour at the very end of the season last season. He's going to try and get another one here tonight.
Yeah, that was a great move by William Hale, and then Matt Cucker following behind, and the number 88 of Jake Watson taking advantage of Joe Burkett. Amazing drive by them, and now the 28 under attack. Excuse me, that is the, can't really tell, that's the number 62 of William Hale under attack from William Cucker. And he's just coming back from another race, and these drivers are really doing a great job of keeping it clean for the most part, giving little bumps here and there. But this is a great track to test all their skill at. Obviously a short track, and short track, and then 2 completely different surfaces on the backstretch, and then a flat surface all the way around. So these drivers are doing really good of handling themselves and really not getting into each other in the braking zones, and really just going right around and logging some laps.
Yeah, that's definitely what Jeremy Adams is doing with a 3.1 second lead. And the next driver is Christian Peterson, and then Charlie Melvin. Haven't talked about him all night. Started in 3rd, and well, that's where he's still at. He's got a lot of pressure from behind now. It's gonna be Tommy Ryan, who's in the 4th position. Started 5th, got one spot. Being on the inside is super advantageous, especially on those restarts. And so more than likely that's where he got in that position. Coming out of turn 4 to start these races is very difficult, as the number 6 of Tommy actually gave the bumper to the 54 of Charlie Melvin. Just a tiny tap in the corner. Not enough to do any damage, but just to let him know he was there. And that's going to be very common, especially in the late goings of this race. We're still very early in this one, as they're very single filed out. First to 10th is single file, and everyone behind them as well. And I think this is when you start to look towards the back of the field to see who's gonna start getting lapped. And that first driver is going to be Jeremy Watkins in the 90. He is the first one to be 1 lap down on lap 21. Then you've got Jeremy Watkins and Guillaume Fortin are in front of him, with Jacob Porter making an appearance tonight, and he's in the 15th position. So that competition caution will come into play at lap 40 if we don't have a caution. But up until then, these guys really have to fight to try and stay on the lead lap.
Yeah, some of these drivers are going to have to either fight to stay on the lead lap, or at least in Jeremy Watkins' case, moreover, fight to stay in front of whoever is lap car in front of him, which in this case is now Jacob Porter as he moves out of the way. So already 23 laps complete, working lap number 24, and already lap traffic is starting to become a little bit of interest to me, at the very least, because it's going to be a very challenging way to negotiate around all these drivers with lap cars and have faster lines. And there goes Jeremy Adams now under the number 13 of Guillaume Fortin. And now side by side, Porter and Fortin are into turns number 3. This is what the 90 of Watkins needs, though. He wants those two to stay side by side, but he definitely doesn't want Christian Pearson to be breathing down his back, so he's going to let him by entering turn number 1.
Yeah, and Porter was able to get around 410, even though it's at their laps down. I mean, I'm sure they're going to have a fun battle here. Both of them don't really have the greatest control for their car, but that coal-powered car definitely got around that number 13 of Guillaume Fortin just barely, but was able to get the job done. Now the lead lap cars are going to start rolling by him, and there's going to be nothing that game can do about it. at least at this juncture. And Christian, he does have to kind of weave through this, but he had a 3-point-second lead, that being Jeremy Adams, over Peterson, and now that 3.3-second lead's dropped all the way down to 1.8. Now, whether Jeremy just had trouble with lap traffic or not, that's another story, but that's a big deal with the fact that that 3-second lead has almost been chopped completely in half. Looks like Jeremy does get a little bit more, but something I want to notice, and this is definitely, this doesn't really have much to do with the racing, but with the new iRacing update, you can see where these drivers are getting into the grass, and they're barely getting into the grass just in front of that yellow line, but that's come over that white line a little bit. That little bit of grass has come over that white line. That just shows you how often these guys have been doing it, and if anyone gets pushed into that grass, we'll definitely know it by the end of the night.
Yeah, and it's a great thing that iRacing has really implemented to see, to have us notice where these drivers are running and how much they're having to get into the grass to help these cars turn. And I want to make a point to Matt Cucker. He's really, made a statement coming into tonight. He's already passed about 4 cars in the past 15 laps. He had a little trouble getting around William Hale, but once he did, he has set sail on the next 3 cars. He has moved himself up into 4th position, trying to get to that front car of Jeremy Adams. He's really just clicking off these laps and making time on all of these drivers. You see him now passing some more lap traffic and trying to get to that number 54 of Charlie Melvin. And I want to make a point on Charlie Melvin. He is the biggest mover coming into tonight from the point standings. He has come up 7 positions to 22nd, and Christian Peterson and Matt Cucker again dominate the point standings for this super late model series. So it's a clear statement on who's the ones to beat in the series, and Matt Cucker is just doing a great job trying to get to the front.
So at this point in the race, it's kind of an odd place to be because you've got 5 laps to go, and these will be the longest runs you'll see, 40-lap runs. But what do you do whenever you get that restart here, Gary? There's a lot of options you can kind of do. Do you save at this point in the run, or do you try and get every little last bit? Because at some point, there's going to be that time when you need those tires, and they're just not going to be there because this track is so difficult on those right sides.
Yeah, this track is a complete killer on the right sides, and it's even worse because it's a flat track as well. So essentially, you're wearing out the right sides possibly a little bit more than usual, but nonetheless, for as of right now, I'd start saving, especially if we're having runs like this. Then essentially for this next stint, if I was racing in this, then I would say, you know what, I'm going to play conservative and get a chance myself of getting lapped down, but that's better than wasting your tires away and not being able to use them for the position near the end of the race.
So Jeremy Adams is on lap number 40. That competition caution is coming very shortly. The 2 drivers in front of him did exchange positions, and number 9 was able to get that spot as they continue to race. And so the 41 or the 89 is going to come to lap 41, and that competition caution should be coming shortly, I would say, but right now I would still go green until now. Caution is now out for the competition caution. So for this point right now, Jeremy Adams is in the lead with Christian Peterson 2nd, Matt Cucker 3rd, Charlie Melvin 3rd, and Tommy Ryan in 5th after the first 40 laps of this one. So this track is a little bit difficult on finding out where that pace car is going to come out, but the driver's trying to circle all the way around, and looks like 4 drivers are off the lead lap. Brandon Wilkinson only took 2 laps, and he called it quits for the day. And Jacob Porter, Jamie Watkins, and Guillaume Fortin, they are 1 lap down. One of them will be getting a lap back if they are able to get a lucky dog for this. So that's your top 5, and really this has been a tame race, I would say. We saw a couple guys get into each other, but that's not something that's too uncommon at this kind of racetrack here, Trevin.
Yeah, obviously cars are going to get into each other. It's short track racing, but going to see that a lot, and I'm really excited to see how this restart will handle with a lot of these cars, coming off the corner, trying to get the power down again. You saw that a little bit of wiggle on the beginning, so obviously going to be a great restart, and already 45 laps into this race, and Matt Cucker coming from 7th to 3rd right now. He's right behind Christian Peterson, wanting to get to Jeremy Adams, not wanting him to sweep the night, and Charlie Melvin right behind him, then Tommy Ryan. So, you know, a lot of cars really looking to see what they can do tonight, and these tires are really wearing on them. And you know, you made a great point, using their setups to try and not use their tires up as much going into the corner, and trying to make their cars better on exit, trying to get that run down the front or back stretch to get to another car and make it a good setup for the next corner.
So with only a few moments time, pace car will get its lights off, and we'll see which driver is able to get a hold of this lead. Peterson had that large lead, but now it's completely erased, and Jeremy Adams has to fight for that again. Only thing was did he fight too hard to get too big of a lead too early? That's kind of one of the biggest questions that we'll have to see for tonight. Another 40-lap run, you think, tonight? I'm not so certain on that this time. We'll go green in just a little bit. We'll have a little over 100 laps to go, as we have 150 laps to complete here tonight. Pace car ducks away to the right. Jeremy Adams will control this restart. He's got the inside line, which is the preferred line here. Peterson gets a great restart, but he's not able to get to the gears as well as the 89. And they almost make contact, and Peterson gets a great run on the outside. He's able to clear the 89. Maybe a little bit of a problem for Jeremy Adams, but he loses the lead on the restart. And that was big problems for the 89 as they go side by side behind him. And we have our first caution by contact for the night, and that appears, well, it must have been a half spin or a full spin that they got together real quickly, because I don't know who it is.
In fact, I just found out who it was. Looks like it was the 6 of Tommy Ryan, and he looks like he made contact just ever so slightly with actually now William Hale came in and made contact, and that was just a huge accordion effect, and everybody else was involved in that. But unfortunately for Tommy Ryan, he got a little bit more help than most others.
Yeah, and Tommy Ryan actually ran into the back of somebody too, I think. So not only did he wow, I mean, we almost had 3 or 4 cars go around. I think Tommy, if you had stayed out of the gas just a little bit longer, he might have been able to save it, but ultimately that is going to be him going to the very back of the field. And I think that is what that is going to be the EOL penalty as well. So William Hale does not get penalized for that. I think just because of the raw, the amount of time it took for him to have to be able to do anything, it was just not enough time for him, and the fact that the 6 car, I think, had a little bit of control at some point, but just got on the throttle a little too quick. So with that restart, that shows you what you can do on the beginning of one of these restarts. Adams was not able to clear Christian Peterson. Peterson just went straight to the outside and just put the hammer down. That was incredible to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, Jeremy Adams is going to love to see the caution come out, because it's going to give him another chance, you know, as evident, to get around Christian Peterson. You know, obviously it slipped up a little bit, but the main point that he's going to have to do going into turn number 1 on this restart is not let Matt Cucker by, because once he does that, he's going to have to pass 2 cars now for position, and that's not really what he wants to do. He doesn't want to fall further back. He wants to make sure to stay up inside that top spot, and you know, Tommy Ryan's now fallen back all the way to 15th with that EOL penalty, so he's going to have to fight a little bit harder to get back up to where he was, possibly even that starting position of P5. But we're going to have to see how this restart works out for all of these cars. And, you know, tires still wearing out, and, you know, it's going to get more exciting as the night goes on. Lap number 53 clocked in right now.
Yeah, already 1/3 of the way through this race, 16 minutes in, and with 2 cautions to slow us down, 1 for the comp, but 1 for that little bit of contact that we have. It's just been very low of shortages so far, as we are going to get back to racing here. Christian Peterson, we'll see if he's able to get a good lead, or whether that outside is where you want to be on the restart. Green flag in the air once again. Christian Peterson's able to kind of lock it away for the time being. Yeah, it looks like Adam does not have anything on the outside like Peterson did. It looks like that setup that Peterson has really favors that restart the way he did it that last restart. So first 2 drivers are now going to be Peterson and looks like Cucker, who went from 4th to 2nd on that restart. And that's going to slot the 89 into 3rd, and with them going side by side, now single file. The 33 did not get out of the corner very well, and he's going to be getting into, a little bit of contact with 62 and the 33. They're together, and the 33 is unhappy. He's going to drive all the way down to the grass. I cannot believe he just lost all those positions to make that kind of point, but William Hale loses a lot of spots because of that. So the 33 and the 62 lose almost 5, 6, 7 spots for that. And William gets back into him. This is not over.
Yeah, I'm not sure this is really too smart. I should be focusing more over on the race and just not that one little race incident. Essentially, oh no, there goes Jimmy Watkins around. He got loose off turn number 2. Caution is out. William Hale, no doubt, more than frustrated. And well, from what happened off turn number 2, to find out what now William Hale is. Nah, this is a bit too much. But from what happened off the corner, that was just a racing thing. Jeremy Watkins had gotten loose off turn number 2, and William Hale was already under him at that point, but Watkins couldn't save it, and he slid down into William Hale. So not too sure, but we're going to find out what race control does about this.
Yeah, the first incident for 100% was definitely something that was, I think, a little bit more than a racing deal, I think we'd say. In that second incident, the 90 just hit the wall, came down, the 62 was there, and, the 90 just made a mistake on track, and nothing you can do about it, but also equally as much as the first incident, I think the 62 had full control of his car under the caution, and just decided to let the motions of racing get the better of him. But the race goes on. We are already on lap number 60 as this has unfolded, and wow, that escalated quickly because we've had about 2 incidents that should not have happened, and now the 62 and the 33 are going to be right next to each other on this next restart, and it'll be really interesting to see exactly what happens.
Yeah, short track racing always going to give dividends to a lot of stress and a lot of racing like that, and that's not really what you want to see. You want to see great racing, but sometimes that does happen, and hopefully nothing comes for that for the rest of the race, but I can't promise you guys that. That was really something else, and a very unfortunate deal for everybody involved, and then it was just really crazy.
So with the pace car still rolling around the field, looks like we are starting to get doubled up here before the pace car's lights are off. This is something that you'll see often at these shorter tracks, just because if they stay single file till the one to go, not everyone might not get double file before the end of it. So it allows everyone behind these leaders to get double file in that so that they'll have a fair chance on this next restart. Matt Cucker and Peterson on the front row, but Peterson will start in the first position. Jeremy Adams will start third. This is the lowest he's been all night, actually, between the 2 races. He's led over 100 and I think, if I do the math correctly, 165 laps tonight. That's an incredible amount of laps. So pace car lights are off. These guys up front getting ready to do business here. They're almost halfway through this race. Green flag back in the air. 89 does not get a good restart, but those 2 up front definitely did. Matt Cooker's going to try to do the same thing that Peterson did on the very first restart. Does not happen. Still side by side going out in turn number 3.
And still going out of the 33 and 62. Caution is out again, and well, call came from race control before, and for just overall in general, no doubt, to have everyone chill out a little bit. Well, unfortunately, that was not the case. So what happened off the corner, or at least pretty much off the restart, as Michael Held is now disqualified, is quite interesting. But Temper's getting the best of everybody. It's quite unfortunate. So it was going to be up until lap 103 that we had the 40 lap green, if we ever got a 40 lap green flag run. So that's going to be extended ever so slightly to what I'm going to guess is about maybe lap 109, as everyone is waiting for the pace car at the moment.
Yeah, we will not be showing that again. But the 62 did aggress a little bit, but I don't think to the magnitude that was necessary of what we saw. So we will continue on with what's going on the track with those front leaders. But considering what those guys up front have been doing, talking about Peterson, Cucker, and Adams, they're dominating the night tonight. Those 3, and then Watson is going to be trying to break those guys here as he's going to start 4th in this restart, and he's been relatively quiet. He's got a pretty well. I don't know if his car's been quiet, but he's been quiet on the broadcast at least. His front end is he's got a few hits and dents on it for a little bit, but that 88 machine is definitely up there. He's from 8th to 4th. That's not an easy thing to do, but neither is Christian Peterson and Matt Cucker going from 6th and 7th to 1st and 2nd. Scott Austin also has gone up 6 positions. He's one of our bigger movers, and Randy Yoakum has gone up 10 positions. He started very last on the field, trying to have a little bit of redemption from that race earlier. So I'd watch those drivers that I just said because they are very fun. They're gonna be very fun to see.
Yeah, and Christian Peterson, Matt Cook are obviously on the front row, so it's going to be really great to see the rest of this race and see them two battle and try to see Jeremy Adams try to use that momentum that he just had coming from that win and try to, make it. I doubt that's what happened, but make it 3 wide going into turn number 1. That'd be exciting. But he's just got to find a way to get around these guys because obviously his setup is a lot different than these 2 front runners, and he's just got to find a different way around, and this track is really hard to find these two. It's really just one line, and he's got to get his tires maybe a little bit more further into that grass to make his car rotate a little better to get it off the turn a little bit better, obviously. And but we're just have to see. Less than 100 laps to go. He's really got to get to it, and these laps click off quickly, Austin.
His car away once again. Green flag back out. A good run by the 69. This looks like it's going to be very similar. Oh, wow. He cleared him before they even got to turn number 1. Matt Cucker straight to the lead. No hesitation on that number 69 machine. And Peterson lost the lead just like he got it earlier on in the race. And a little bit of contact between all these drivers. Oh, the 88 gets a little bit of a tap, but they are able to hold on. Those are 2 good drivers that just barely got into each other. And this 89 of Jeremy Adams almost had that 88 take him down to the grass unintentionally, as they were both very sideways. This is really fun to watch between these guys up front. Very sideways, very fun to see. And for these guys up front, they are just getting started. 72 laps of 150, almost halfway through this race. And behind them, Charlie Melvin. Quiet night for him as he's only dropped back 2 positions. Randy Yoakum, he's got 6th place now. That's 11 positions on the night. He just got around Scott Austin. He went from 12th to 7th. Randy Yoakum, he's one to watch right now.
Yeah, Randy Yoakum could be striking at any second. Peterson trying to use the bumper to try a little bump and run tactic and somehow make his way around that Cucker. He's at this point all over the back bumper, essentially, not really trying to do anything major than Matt Cucker, just loosen them up just a little bit, force them up the racetrack and get under and try and get that pass to the lead right now, but unfortunately it's not working out too well. But on the bright side, that Pearson does have the momentum. He's pretty much constantly right within view. Went a little bit wide on turn number 3, but he's doing an amazing job. Same thing goes for essentially the battle for second. Jake Watson had an amazing restart there, somehow shooting around the outside of Jeremy Adams there just a few laps after the restart. So right now for position number 1, though, is Christian Pearson. He's trying to get past Matt Cucker.
He's got the inside line, but it's not the preferred line, I think, 100% right now. He's got to have a better run than that. So he goes to the inside, dives to it. I think he's got to be there and the exit and then get there to the entrance. And I think Peterson's really got the speed. Peterson's got the speed to get it done. Right now, he's just got to wait for a really good opportunity and wait for Cucker to give up that inside. Of course, that's way easier said than done. This is a similar situation to New Smyrna, but right now we're going to have to put it on hold as there is a caution out on the racetrack. I have a funny feeling that might be Randy Yoakum who just went sideways, and oh my gosh, he had lost it almost for 2 laps straight and went to turn 1 and 2 and just got he actually completely stopped on the track, and sadly that'll bring out the yellow flag for this one. And so he had such a good charge to the front. Once again, he'll be having to go to the back for that. So as we were just saying, tire wear is crucial. Those guys up front don't appear to have it at least be wearing on their cars as much as the guys behind them, or they're just better at hiding it. But we are under caution one more time. More than halfway through this race, we'll give a good quick shout out to our midway race break, brought to you by iRacing. iRacing is the world premier online racing game with professionally organized racing for NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, and more. And when we look at our starting grid versus our running grid, it's going to be completely different. Matt Cucker leads right now. It's Christian Peterson second. Jake Watson is in third. Jeremy Adams is in fourth. Charlie Melvin fifth. Scott Austin sixth. John Allett is in the 7th position. Richard Reagan Jr. 8th. William Hale is in 9th place. That's where he started. And Tommy Ryan is 10th. And running out the last 7 drivers of this field: Tommy Ryan, Joe Burchett, Jacob Porter, Guillaume Fortin, Jeremy Watkins, Randy Yoakum, who just got that EOL, and then Michael Held being disqualified, and then Brandon Wilkinson, who called the night early in 17th position. So that's been a look at your iRacing Midway race break. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, you can visit iRacing.com to sign up today. And thanks to Red Bull, you can use the promo code PR-GRC on the iRacing.com website /membership. You can get on iRacing for 3 months for only $5, which is a pretty dang good deal. So again, that's PR-GRC, and that's for new members only. So pace car lights are now off. Matt Cooker will once again start this one, or he will start this one for the first time, I do believe, for this restart. Peterson trying to do what he did that first time, getting the lead, trying to get it out on the outside, and then he's got a brand new row behind him. Well, not brand new, but they have switched positions. So Jake Watson on the bottom, Jeremy Adams on the top side. Matt Cooker is going to start this one. We have a competition caution. It'll happen at 1:24. Green flag is in the air. They're heads up for the top position. Peterson, all sorts of wiggly though, and they get into it for everybody. Just about everybody gets into each other, and there goes somebody. I think that's the 81 of John Allett. No caution quite yet, but a lot of jostling for positions, a lot of contact between a lot of drivers. But we continue to go green.
Yeah, side by side for position number 1 is Matt Cooker. Spin in the back, and that's into the infield though, and they managed to save it. Not sure who that was. Right now, Matt Cooker trying to battle back on the inside against Christian Peterson, and he will clear him for now entering turns 1 2. But Peterson right back up on that outside lane, just barely with the quarter panel on that number 60. On that number 69 of Matt Cooker. But look at who's catching up to these two just behind them. Peterson uses the bumper, trying to loosen up Cooker in the process, but that doesn't work out. Jake Watson now starting to catch up as Matt Cooker tries to defend, and he does an amazing job at the moment, holding Peterson off for first.
And when Peterson gave the little nudge to the 69, that was not one of showing him he was there. That was one of him trying to get under the 69, but just actually having too much speed. Christian, I think, had the speed to get around the 69 in that corner, and I think he actually has the better speed than Cooker right now, but he's not able to get around him. And right now, those two going mano-a-mano for first place as they are over 1 second ahead of the rest of the field. Number 88, Jake Watson, is by his lonesome as Jeremy Adams and Scott Austin and Tommy Ryan are as well, and everyone behind him, they're a little bit more spread out than usual as well, because a lot of action on that restart. And if you don't have damage on your car, either one, you're not trying, or you're at the front of this field as you're seeing those two up front continue to be on each other, or really Peterson's right on the back bumper of Matt Cooker. This is really close between these guys. Week in and week out, you see them get just some of the best results that they can. And right now, going right next to each other, 2 seconds in front of the whole field. Both these guys going as fast as they are still able to fight. Pretty incredible to watch here on lap number 92.
And approaching 100 quickly, Christian Peterson knows that these lap times really tick off quickly, so he knows he has a little bit of time left to get something done, and you see him with the sense of urgency in his car, trying to do different lines. You saw him enter a little bit higher a few laps ago, trying to see what kind of speed he can get going into the corner, and now you just see him trying to do different lines, trying to get that tire into the grass to help it rotate a little bit more. But I'm not sure what he's going to have to do. Maybe just give him a little bit more of a shove. But, we saw it happen last time if a driver got a little bit too much of a shove going into the corner, and he's just trying different moves. And really, this is the closest battle on track at the moment. Jake Watson is really liking to see these guys battle. Maybe even wants to see him go too wide a little bit to, maybe close that gap a little bit, because they've almost extended another second onto their lead. You just see these cars really dominating with their setup going out here tonight at Charlotte Motor Speedway in this little configuration that they have going on, and really putting on a show for us here tonight.
I'll tell you what, Christian Peterson is beating the hell out of Matt Cooker's back bumper. I mean, if he has a bumper by the end of the night, I'd be surprised, but just about every corner, Peterson is there. He just can't do anything without moving him completely. And I know those two raced so cleanly all the time that that's not going to happen for the time being. Here's where we start to get into lap traffic, and look at the 90 of Jimmy Watkins. He's going to very respectfully get out of the way, and I see him getting completely and very distantly away from them. It's always good to see from these lap cars. We'll see if these lap cars do that. Not all of them will, because they are still fighting for position. So these lead lap cars will have to make it their responsibility to try and get around if they're doing that. So looks like a little bit of an opportunity for Peterson on the bottom side. Cucker left us enough room for that to happen. That was not the case. Peterson is just all over him, waiting for that mistake, or waiting for him to get just enough speed out of that corner. And a little bit higher in turn 3. He can try and power it off turn 4, but just not enough right now.
Randy Oakham is trying. Goodness, I was about to say Randy Oakham. He used the grass entering turns 3 and 4, completely tore it up. So nonetheless, everyone using that grass as best as possible. Peterson trying to use the bumper. He's trying to force a mistake. It's not going to work as of yet. So right now, this is where 2 lap cars are going to be fighting for position. The question is, well, you just have to let them by one by one, or at least get by the lap cars one by one. So now Matt Cucker using that grass, and well, so much for that, as caution is out, possibly half spin, and that's Guillaume 410 and the number 13. He's around on the back straightaway. Looks like he made contact with Jeremy Watkins. Actually, no, Jeremy Watkins barely made it by, as Guillaume 14 got loose off turn number 2 and spun it around.
So that is going to bring out another caution. So there will be no more competition cautions. And yeah, what a good job by the number 90 to just barely squeak by on that one. Bad news for the 13. That is going to put him a lap down here for this one. But the guys up front, they kind of have already been side by side. That just gives them an opportunity to be side by side. See which one is going to be able to get the restart better. I think this is where it kind of matters more than anything. We're going to get a restart no matter what at some point in this race because of the competition caution. But I do believe this will throw us over that point of having one again. So this is going to be a battle to the end of the race. Cautions are only going to come out if they are necessary. No more competition cautions. So with Matt Cucker and Peterson going side by side here on this restart, this is an opportunity for Peterson to get that lead back as he had gotten earlier. Only thing is, Cucker has really been on top of it. He's got to really make a mistake on this restart, I think, here. And I think this is going to be a really difficult restart for those first 2, with knowing that this is where the race probably is going to be, unless they can maneuver around each other and move each other out of the way.
Yeah, and it's getting down to the wire of this race. We saw what happened last time in New Smyrna, I believe it was, and it was just an absolute crazy race all the way to the finish. We had a lot of consecutive cautions because drivers were trying too hard and trying to get too much too early. Obviously for the race to end, and had to go to a green, white, checkered. But these drivers just need to know how many laps they have left and how many times they have to go around to get something done. And Christian Peterson has been on the back bumper of Matt Cucker throughout the majority of this stint that they had, so be looking for that, and maybe just trying to force Matt Cucker into a mistake into the corner, as we've seen a lot of drivers basically drift around the corners somewhat, and give him a little bit extra bite off of the corner, and Christian Peterson maybe be able to take the win away from him.
Pace car lights are off once again. Matt Cucker, Christian Peterson, that is your front row. With Jake Watson and Jeremy Adams, your second row. That's been basically the same front 2 rows for the last couple of restarts. And then got Scott Austin there in the 5th position with Tommy Ryan to his outside. Charlie Melvins, William Hale, Richard Reagan Jr., and Jacob Porter. That's your top 10. Green flag is going to be out. Which driver will have the advantage this time by? Oh, wow, big wiggle from the 88. Doesn't deter him that much. But the 23 is going to try and really squeak to the lead here. He's still on the outside of the 69 of Cucker. See if he's able to make something happen here. I don't think Peterson's going to be able to. Oh, the 69 slows down to the corner and makes him run into him. That was a smart move by Matt Cucker. He could have kept going. That would have led an opening on the bottom side for the 23, but smart move by the 69 by not accelerating too quickly out of that corner. But a caution is going to stop this one from going any further. And that's going to be John Ollett who goes around in turn number 2.
And it looks like just one of those racing deals as well in the process, as looks like John Ouellette was trying to make a pass to the inside, decided to slow up just a little bit, and then Jacob Porter was coming right in, and Randy Ockham also made contact, so it's essentially a 3-car bump. So of course, just a simple racing deal, just too much speed carried into the corner, so that will be, I believe, Jacob Porter to the back of the field, or maybe it would be John Ouellette, but nonetheless, we are under caution once again, and that means another chance for Christian Peterson to somehow make his way back up into the first place position, if he can.
Yeah, and that was Jacob Porter hitting him once and then hitting him twice to finish him off. The bad thing about for John was that he was basically going to hit the outside wall with that first amount of contact. So I think the second amount of contact helped him not destroy his car, but also took him to the back of the field. And then Jacob Porter will go to the end of the longest line for that one. That'll be his first of the night. But yeah, these cautions are only breeding anticipation to see if we're going to see a lead change between these two drivers. It's so difficult right now to tell if we're going to see that happen. As of right now, it looks like it's going to be Matt Kucker's race, just for the fact that it's been one of those races. It's kind of like the race we had at New Smyrna. Just passing is going to be really difficult with the fact that these guys probably have a really similar or maybe even the same exact setup since they're teammates. So that's one thing to think about as these guys go through the corners.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I'm pretty sure they have the same setup, and really, really good cars throughout the rest of this race. And we've seen, Matt Kucker really get around a lot of cars from his starting position in 7th place. So, obviously very, very solid handling car for himself, and obviously a very solid handling car for Christian Peterson as well, coming up from the backish as well. But all of these cars have really done a great job keeping their lead lap for the most part. Every single car on track is still on the lead lap, so that's just a great job for them, and really hats off to them. But we're coming here to a restart on lap 116, Austin.
See which one of these prevails here on this restart. Peterson's edging out a little ahead already. The 69 is going to get a better restart here by far. Peterson is absolutely wiggling these restarts, just a lot of other drivers are, and a lot of contact back in the field. But first 4 or 5 drivers start to get single file, but not quite yet for third. 89 tries to cross over. Here comes the 88 on the inside of Christian Peterson. Jake Watson's going to make something happen here, and he's going to have the preferred line on the bottom. This is the first time that Peterson's been challenged for second position. Looks like Jake Watson's going to get the job done by going really wide into turn number 3 and out of turn 4. Peterson appears to have the better set right now and the better capable car, but that bottom side is just too good. And they're going to continue to go side by side while Matt Kucker starts to really push away, and this is not good. Anyone's going to try and get a win from him right now. Here goes Green the rest of the way. This is going to be really hard to beat Matt Kucker.
Yeah, these two are still side by side. A little bit of door contact entering turn 1, and Christian Peterson gives him just a little bit of a tap on the left rear quarter panel as well, and caution is back out. Great timing for Jake Watson. Not so sure what happened, but it might have been a half spin. And yeah, it was Randy Ockham in turns 1 and 2 again.
Yeah, Randy, I think he gunned it there in turn number 1 after he got hit. I'm not exactly sure what was going on, but he just spun there in turn number 1. If this is a second strike, he will be disqualified, but if it's a second EOL and not a second strike, he'll still be able to run. That rule works if you get the strike. Self-spins don't act like that, so that should not be a strike. So it looks like he'll just get the EOL. So we'll have just under 30 laps to go. So once again, these restarts get more and more interesting because of the fact that Jake Watson now is going to start playing a role in this one, and we've seen him on LSR TV quite a number of times, and had a few wins here and there on the on one of our other leagues that we cover that I just can't think off the top of my head. But right now, Tristan is going to be on the bottom side, and you better believe that those two are probably talking and making sure that they don't let Jake Watson in on this next restart. Or Matt Kucker's going to say, I'm going to try and win, and you guys are going to fight for position. So that'll be fun to see what happens there. And then Jeremy Adams is right there as well. So top 5 is pretty stout. Tommy Ryan's been in 5th basically all day. Very quiet tonight for him. Same for Scott Austin. 6 positions for him on the night, one of our bigger movers. And right now he sits solidly in that 6th position. But there's been a lot of hitting on this restart, guys, and I think one of these times it's going to go a little too far, especially as later this race goes. Cautions read cautions. We see that all the time. And tonight's going to be no different, I don't think.
No, it's not going to be any different at all. And, Jake Watson really, as you said, use that outside lane to enter the turn 3 corner and get around Christian Peterson. That's exactly what Christian Peterson was trying to do to Matt Cucker. Just was not working out for him that well. So he's probably going to take notes on how Jake Watson did that and try to, use it on Jake Watson and then try to use it on Matt Cucker as well. We'll have to see how his car handles going throughout the rest of this race, but we're coming to about 25 laps to go, Austin, and this is just only getting exciting as the night moves on.
Matt Cucker, Jake Watson, Christian Peterson, top 3. Jeremy Adams, Tommy Ryan, top 5. Green flag in the air. Which one of these drivers will prevail here on the restart? Jeremy Adams gets a good restart but falls back in the 88. He gets a good restart, but we're going to have a quick caution here. Oh. Appears to be, oh my goodness, big junk. I said that might happen on one of these restarts, and it did. Number 5 of... Oh my gosh, there's a lot of cars, and I think it'd be easier to say who did not get involved in this one. Just about everybody had some bit of contact. I think Richard Reagan Jr. just barely squeaked by, but yeah, big wreck here.
Yeah, the 46 of Reagan Jr., he barely managed to make it through. Maybe got just a little bit of a paint scuff on the left front, but nonetheless, he did an amazing job avoiding that for practically being right in the middle. But it's just another one of those racing deals. Scott Austin, again, coming across the start-finish line, trying to get to the inside as quick as possible. Unfortunately, Charlie Melvin had the front bumper there. He had the nose in there, but unfortunately, Scott Austin did not notice that up until it was too late. So just one of your typical racing deals, and going to try this once again.
So with Matt Cucker being in the lead at this point in the race, we're going to have just a little bit over 20 laps to go here on this next restart. I think a lot of these guys are trying to get to the point where they're comfortable, but they're trying to be as aggressive as possible. This is a hard part in the race because you don't want to be that guy who sends the other guy around, but there's not that much room, and every little bit you want to try and take every little inch you can. Right now, you're seeing the byproduct of having late race cautions. And we had, 2 good runs of green flag racing earlier on. We had that big, that long 40-lap run, and the competition caution happened, and then we had another short run, or another longer run. But then since then, it's been a little bit of a little run here, and now we've got to the point where it's been to the point where we are going. These guys are trying to get everything they can get, and there can be this last green flag push. But this track does not yield itself to that at this point in the race.
Yeah, and that was 2 completely different accents as I was looking at it. Scott Austin just chopped somebody a little bit too hard going in the corner, and then the number 6 of Tommy Ryan kind of got into the back of somebody else going into turn number 1. So that was completely different, 2 different incidents, but nonetheless, a lot of cars junked up. And the good thing about a short track, you don't really need aerodynamics to go fast. You just need a fast setup. So a lot of cars still in contention here tonight, and every single car still on the track, I believe, is on the lead lap. So kudos to them, and we're getting reset for another restart here tonight. And if 20 laps to go, coming to the stripe, and it's just going to be a interesting battle at the end of this.
So Matt Cucker finds himself in the lead still, and with Chaz being getting to the late goings of this race, just about anything can happen, especially with that lead. But the top 4, or the top 2, 3, top 3 has basically been the same this entire race. So getting ready to go green, possibly for the last restart of the night. Green flag back in the air, and the number 69 does not get a good restart. The 88 does, but he has a lot of the wheel spin, and he's going to go sliding through turns 1 and 2. Christian Peters go to the bottom side, and look at William Hale. He's back to the charge. He's in 4th position right now. Almost a little bit of 3 wide there for a moment. Now side by side for the 4th position. Hale on the bottom, 54 of Jake Watson. it looks like we're going to have another caution here. Like I said, to be kind of expected, but you're hoping for just a little bit longer of a green flag run. And it looks like the number 13 of Gam 410 has his car a little cattywampus, and I don't think his car is going to recover from this one. As it looks like the 81 drove through him in turn number 1. Looks like actually they got in contact with the 28. Looks like a big mess throughout that corner. I think there's a lot going on. Guillaume let a little bit of room for the 81, and the 81 flat out took it.
Yeah, and you could see that one coming from a little bit away, and the 81 trying to recover ground from a little incident that he had coming off of turn number 1, had a little contact with the number 3 machine, Jacob Porter, and went to the grass a little bit and trying to push it all the way that he could into the corner, and possibly just got a little bit too much of that number 13 machine, and unfortunately he went around again. But nonetheless, we have another restart coming up, and it's going to be a little hard to see that we might go green all the way to the end. You're touching on it, Austin. You're expecting this, but you don't really want to see it. And Christian Peterson was able to make another pass for the second place position, so he's sitting in a good spot coming to this restart. And Jake Watson's still trying to take that one back from him as well. So it's going to be an interesting fight to the finish. And Matt Cucker has been really dominant throughout this whole entire stint for the last 100 laps or so. So we're going to have to see if he can hold on to the next 24, 14, excuse me. Cannot math tonight. And, see who will prevail at the end of this. Christian Peterson's still looking really tough going into each corner and each stint that we have. He just needs a little bit more to continue to make his way around Matt Cucker. And, Jake Watson's still looking for that position as well. And, still fights all around the track throughout the whole entire field because they are still on the lead lap. So each car is fighting for a position that you're seeing on track right now. So, it's just going to lend itself to more hard racing towards the end of this race, coming to about 10 laps to go in a few laps time.
Yeah, and this is one of the reason this keeps happening is because this is such a it's such an easy thing to do to try and get those couple positions you need, a couple points between now and the end of the race. And after a few laps, it seems like only 1 or 2 points can be made up. So that is definitely why we see these happen so often. A lot of guys don't have any intent on doing that, but they get caught up anyways. But with this one being almost done, just a little bit more than 10 laps to go, Christian Peterson on the outside trying to get that lead back. Oh, somebody was sleeping or something. 23 is off and away. He's going to get that lead, but he went really wide. The 69 is going to come back on the bottom side. Peterson had the opportunity, but went high in the corner. Possibly he jumped the start. I think that might have been why he let that happen, because that was very uncharacteristic. So the 69 goes back. Oh, my goodness. The 88 gets plowed into, runs in Peterson, and that's going to come out with a caution. Peterson goes from second to dead last on the lead lap.
Yeah, Pearson's hopes have been dashed, and it's just from, again, just another racing incident. Looks like that was from Charlie Melvin. He went to move low to the inside lane. William Hale was there, and while Charlie went to move out of the way, unfortunately got into the back of the 88 of Jake Watson, which sent Watson into Peterson. And unfortunately, like you just mentioned, that sent Peterson from pretty much top 2 all the way from first at one point, essentially, all the way back to pretty much dead last on the lead lap. So right now it's a different top 3, but William Hale currently in 3rd, Jacob Porter 4th, and 5th, Randy Yoakum. After all the bad luck that he's had, Randy Yoakum has actually prevailed, and he's just now at the tail end of the top 5. But right now for Matt Cucker, he's gonna have to nail this restart, because it's essentially pretty much a shootout of a restart. So we're going to be having about, I'm estimating, about 6 or 7 laps left once we get the green flag.
Yeah, more than likely this will be our last restart. I do know that the green white checkers are in the pocket. I'm not sure if they're going to be using that tonight or not. I'll be getting that information in just a moment. But with 143 laps, or 142, coming to 143 laps to go, or finished, this race is getting, it's 1 or 2 more restarts is all we've got. And Matt Cucker, with one of his, I think, his biggest competition out, going sideways right behind him, this lends itself to to really being his race to lose. But Jake Watson being the second driver to really put up that fight. But this is what we're getting to at this point. Remember when I said that each spot means so much on these restarts? These 3 drivers were not in the top 5 until the last couple of restarts. William Hale, Jacob Porter, and Randy Yoakum. That's 3rd, 4th, and 5th place. And that's 16th and 17th starting position with Jacob Porter and Randy Yoakum. I'm telling you, anything can happen on these restarts. We just saw one of the biggest players go spinning, and that's exactly what you'll see at a track like this whenever there's basically no banking. Well, the banking basically puts you into the corner. It doesn't slow you down. So Matt Cocker will see if he can hold on to this. We'll have 5 laps to go at the restart. More than likely, this will be one of our last restarts. This will be our last restart, with Jake Watson being to his outside. So green flag inevitably out in the air. And there it is. Green flag up for Matt Cucker. Good restart for him. No wheel spin from anyone behind. And William Hale and Porter, they'll go side by side for 3rd position. The 88 gets into the 69, but there's contact behind. No caution quite yet. Watson is trying to make as much as he can out of the 69, but he's going to pull away in the corner number 1. And unless the 88 can really get to his back bumper, I don't think he's going to have anything for Matt Cucker. As one of the biggest players in tonight's race, is not even close. Just a few more laps left, and Matt Cucker, all he has to do is just defend that position over the 88. William Hale has basically no room behind him to mess up and no room in front of him to catch them quite yet. And then Porter and Richard Reagan, they're fighting for position. Reagan enters the top 5 now, as I think Randy Yoakum had a little bit of contact with some other guys earlier. So, just a couple more laps to go, guys.
Yeah, and that number 3, Jacob Porter, really having a hard time handling his car coming off the corner. As you see now, really just haven't had a little struggle going on the front stretch, and Richard Reagan Jr. trying to get to the back bumper of him, but Jake Watson really trying as hard as he can, and now we're on the final lap, Austin.
Last lap of tonight's race. Matt Cucker on the back stretch, going to turns 3 and 4. He's going to get tonight's victory. Jake Watson and William Hale, they will finish 2nd and 3rd, and this was an interesting race to say the least. Restarts galore at the end, but at the end of the day, Matt Cucker was able to get the victory. The fireworks are on the back straightaway, celebrating another win for the number 69 machine.
Great job by Matt Cucker to hold off Jake Watson, and essentially for Jake Watson, he was almost there to the inside, but Matt Cucker will now burn it down on the front straightaway. And that was a great effort by Watson to try and get to the inside. He couldn't make it, but on the right side, he does actually pull off a 2nd place finish after starting in 8th.
Yeah, to be quite frank, for what happened to William Hale in tonight's race, this was a really big return for him, especially for 2 reasons: to be able to overcome the frustration from earlier, and just to go from 9th to 3rd. Same thing for Jake Watson to go 8th to 2nd, and just to get through all the mayhem of those last couple of laps, I think is a lot to say for both those guys, and anyone who finished in that top 5 to just keep on strong. So we'll go through your running order, or your finishing order of tonight's race. Matt Cucker finishes tonight's race as your winner. Jake Watson finishes 2nd. William Hale 3rd. Jacob Porter finishes 4th, and Richard Reagan Jr. will finish 5th.
Finishing 6th will be Tommy Ryan. Scott Austin finishing 7th. Great comeback from the incident that happened to Christian Pearson with a top 10 finish in P8. P9, Jeremy Adams and John Ouellette will finish P10.
Finishing 11th is Charlie Melvin. Randy Yoakum, unfortunately, he had a great run, and then, while complications happened multiple times for him, he still manages to advance from last place up to 12th. Guillaume Fortin finishes in 3rd. Joe Burchett with I believe the worst luck of this race, as he started 2nd, finished in 14th, and then the rest of your field who did not finish: Jimmy Watkins, Michael Held, and Brandon Wilkinson, 15th, 16th, and 17th respectively.
So let's look top to bottom at your finishing order and your favorite drivers finish. We'll talk to Matt Cucker here as he is in victory lane. Matt, you did fairly well in the last race, and you get the victory here tonight, but you had a hard charge from Christian Peterson, and with those restarts of just about every few or so laps, it's hard to tell whether what was going to change that race, and it seemed like you just had to be that guy to win the restarts.
Yeah, I mean, hats off CP. He ran me really clean for how short of a track this is. I mean, he could have easily moved me out of the way a lot sooner, but he was just riding, and sucks for him that he got taken out there. But yeah, all it came down to was restarts, and I think 2 restarts ago, I was just getting pushed from behind, and the green wasn't out yet, so I didn't go, and then he got this huge jump on me. And then I think he just overdrove turn 1, and I was able to clear him coming off. Well, not clear him, but get it back under him coming off turn 2. And then there was another yellow, and then finally he got wrecked after that. But hats off to him, man. It was his setup is the one that I was running right there, and without that, we wouldn't be up here in front tonight.
Well, for you in particular, in every race, winning these races is going to help your buffer. But with the night that Christian had, this is going to help you tremendously. Peterson finishing in 8th, and we talk about it week in and week out with the Cars Tour, how you guys typically finish up front, and just each one of those positions is so important because those minuscule points start to really tally up with the big difference between you guys tonight. That gives you some comfort going into next week, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it does, but I mean, it still sucks that he got taken out because I'd rather race the championship out with him the whole way instead of him having races like this. But I mean, it could happen to me next week. I mean, now I think I just won 2 in a row, so now I got to start in the back next time we race. So we'll see what happens.
There you have it, Matt Cook. You finish in first place tonight. Thanks to anybody. Sponsor shout-outs. Who makes it happen for you?
Definitely Team Vince here, like Christian again, especially him for the setup. I mean, I just made a couple little tweaks, and but it was on fire. I got to thank Globalcom, iAnalyze, Turn 3 Auto Transport, Scott Austin Designs, Peterson Irrigation, and 6-Man Race Cars. You guys for putting on the show on the broadcast, and Kyle Barnes for putting us all together.
All right, there you have it. Matt Cucker finishes tonight's winner. We're going to send it down to Trevin, who will catch up with the number 2 finisher of Jake Watson.
Down here on pit road with the number 88 machine of Jake Watson. Jake, you started 8th and you finished 2nd. That's a great feat to accomplish. Obviously with this track being very different, very flat turns, how were you planning to, complete this race without any incident?
Man, it was really hard. At the beginning of the race, I wasn't expecting much. I didn't have a really good setup to compete with the 69-23. It's just everything fell into place at the right times, and I kept the fenders on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And coming in tonight, you were 3rd in the points championship, losing 2 positions to Christian Peterson and Matt Cucker. What are your plans to continue to fight for position going into the later parts of this championship series?
Just being consistent, I think that's key. You got to stick with these top 3 finishes in order to get good points. So, of course, every race we're going to shoot for a win, but if we can't, just go for a top 3.
And, obviously tonight here at Charlotte, but in about 8 weeks' time, you'll have your next race at Lanier Motor Speedway. How are you planning on staying solid and consistent throughout these weeks?
You just got to work on those setups. With this new iRacing build, it kind of threw a curveball at our team and I think everyone else. So, we just got to keep focused and work on the setups as much as we can.
Absolutely. And, before we let you go, any sponsor shout-outs? Who gets the job done for the 88 machine?
I got to thank London Recreational Racing, JW, Ideal Brakes, Castrol Edge, CCEX, Clutch Graphics, CN Chassis, and that's about it.
All right. Thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for putting on a great show. That is number 8, Jake Watson. Now on pit road with the number 62 machine is Gary Weaver with William Hale.
Yeah, I'm standing here with William Hale, who also got 6 positions up from where he started, 9th to 3rd. So overall, not too bad of a race. Went from top 10 to top 3. Overcame some complications in the process, and of course, he still managed to bring it home in 3rd.
Yeah, it was a good race. I got to thank all these guys on left turn for putting together a really fast race car for us and getting it up to the front. I thought we were done at one point. I guess somebody lost their head. Sorry to Charlie right there for getting into him, putting him in the grass. I let him back go, but need to apologize to him. And like you said, complications. I mean, getting ran down into the inside and getting ran into the wall is not exactly how I wanted to start the night, but all's fair in a quarter mile. So um, it's all cool. So we finished third, came back, rebounded, and that's a good night. So I'll take it.
Yeah, did an amazing job, and of course, especially with that heavily damaged of a car, you still managed to keep it up with the pace of everybody. Of course, throughout the race, though, pretty sure that tire wear had definitely come into effect, especially since you guys were only on one set. Did you at what point did you decide to either change between saving your tires versus actually using up your tires?
I Well, what I was doing, I was running hard for about a lap or two at the start anyway. I was running hard for about a lap or two, then saving for the next 10, and running hard for a lap or two, saving the next 10. That was what we did. That's what I did in the 40 lap run at the start, and then after that restart, once we got put in the inside and then got put in the wall, I just kind of went into save mode and conserved and tried to work my way back through. Didn't really be too aggressive on the tires. I mean, the whole front end geometry and some of the rear end was already messed up. The car just did a 180 in handling. It went from handling good to handling junk really fast after that. And, just really saved and conserved the whole race and, just tried to save what was left of the tires and what was left of the car and ended up where we were. So.
I managed to again pull off a third place finish. So, who helped you out? Who makes it happen for you? Who would you like to give a shout out to for finishing here tonight?
Like I said, all the guys at Left Turn, Andrew Wooten, Jake Watson, Caden Lapsovich. Caden actually really helped a lot with me this weekend, trying to get me ready this week anyway. I caught at Metalworks, thank them for being on the track. Those guys are awesome. Corey's a really awesome guy, and he's helped me in so many ways in real racing, and I just can't thank him enough. That's why he's on the car. You guys, LSR TV, having a spot. TN Chassis Works, Gonna Gill, Odds Wizard of Clean, Hell Mechanical, Rudd Heating and Air Equipment. Can't thank all those guys enough for having a spot on this car, and we're going to go to the next one in the near throwback race, and hopefully try to go up 2 positions.
Hopefully, we will see you in first place next week. So that was third place finisher William Hill, and we'll hand it back over to Austin Koo.
Yeah, 2 nights, or not 2 nights, 1 night of 2 races are now completed, and a lot of laps, a lot of laps tonight. 150 for this race we just had, and 125. That puts us close to about 300 laps of racing for not that many miles in comparison. We had a lot of good battles in the first race, and then basically these races are kind of copies of each other. We had long green flag runs. That each had a competition caution, and towards the end had a little slew of cautions that had to change the ultimate outcome of the race if it were to go green. But that's what those competition cautions really bring to the series. Brings these guys right back into it, able to try and get what they can from their cars. And I think it showed best with the new Smyrna race. I think in this race it showed the aggression that these guys would take to try and get those positions. For some of them, it didn't work out quite so well, and we definitely saw that. But night of great racing for both these series, Trevin, and for the Cars eSport here.
Yeah, and you gotta love seeing two different completely different tracks. Play out over this night. You always had New Smyrna and then Charlotte, one banked and one not, and just to see how these drivers that came from late models to super late models adjust to how different this track was. It was amazing to see all these guys really battle back and forth, and sometimes it gets a little tense in races, and cooler heads have to prevail in situations like that. But nonetheless, great racing tonight, and I'm excited to see what the following weeks has for this Cars eSport Series Tour.
Gary, your thoughts?
I think this was again pretty interesting. Like Trevin said, seeing these drivers having to adapt from a banked track to a track that's not so banked, and I believe which is significantly in its own way a bit shorter. So New Smyrna versus Charlotte Legends Oval is quite interesting in its own way. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens next time we come back to the Cars eSport Tour.
So that about does it for us today and tonight for the Cars eSport Tour. 4 more races for the late model stock, only 2 more races for the super late model. So this race in particular is super important for those guys. And we go to Langley and the Bullring at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and that would be June and July. August, we go to Lanier for both series, and then the Five Flag Speedway will cap off. Sorry, add another one there. Then South Boston will cap us off, as we've seen in the seasons past. So we want to give a big thanks to everyone involved in making the Cars eSport Tour possible, for Pit Road Media and Tony Stevens, the Championship Esports Association for bringing the esports side of it alive, Chris Rangel, Jacqueline Drake, who had joined us tonight, Drew Adamson from iRacing, Tony Gardner, and the staff at iRacing for bringing the light out, or bringing the racing out into the public. So from all of us here at LSR TV, I'm Austin Coop, he's Trevin Valderrama, and he is Gary Weaver. And Cisco Scarmoza, didn't credit him earlier. I thank him for doing a crazy stream tonight. For all of us here in the booth, thank you. We'll see you at the next track.